immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline, and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
You love the feel behind the wheel.
You'll love the new 2024 Acura MDX from Jody Wilkinson Acura. During the Spring into Performance event, Acura is offering 1.9% APR. Lease the 2024 MDX only $589 monthly. For offer details, text the word Acura to 57500.
Jody Wilkinson.
Downtown.
Acura.
1111 South Main. You'll love the new 2024 Acura RDX from Jody Wilkinson Acura. During the Spring into Performance event, Acura is offering 1.9% APR. Lease the 2024 RDX Super Handling All-Wheel Drive only $459 monthly. For offer details, text the word Acura to 57500.
Jody Wilkinson.
Downtown.
Acura.
1111 South Main.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. There are so many wonderful things coming up right around the corner here in the state of Utah. Take, for example, Conference Weekend in downtown Salt Lake City. Where are you going to take those special visitors from out of town for a great, great dinner? How about Ruth's Chris Steakhouse? Or take the drive up Parley's Canyon and go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse at Hotel Park City. The food is beyond compare. Whether it's a steak or seafood or poultry, whatever it might be, you will never have a better meal than the meal waiting for you at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And the side dishes, the desserts, and the attention to detail, your serving staff is absolutely amazing at Ruth's Chris. And don't forget all the other great things that are coming up too. You know, maybe you're going to go to the theater, a movie, maybe you're going to head up and do a little skiing. The entertainment is waiting for you here in the state of Utah, and the great meal is waiting for you at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Time for a look at traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Heather, still looking kind of stormy out there.
Rain squall move across at the portions of the Salt Lake Valley and Davis County. So you're going to see the wet road conditions, which is slowing traffic down northbound I-15 between 4500 South and downtown. And then southbounders will be well below the speed limit between Center Street and North Salt Lake into downtown. But northbounders coming out of downtown Salt Lake into Davis County, they're stop and go right now. All the way up to the north interchange. That is due to a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane and shoulder. And snow continues to fall on I-84 through Weber Canyon. Zero Res, get one room clean starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum and 25% off all other services. Use promo code CLEANWEEK. Zero Res. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're going to struggle to get to 50, I'm afraid, today, and that will represent the coolest day of the next 7. But rain or snow today, then a repeat performance Thursday, more coming on Sunday. Matter of fact, there's a chance of precipitation every day this week for the next 7, with the exception of tomorrow, with a high of 53, and right now it is mostly cloudy downtown and 38 degrees. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com to Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
David, I want to take you right off the top of the show here, live to Baltimore, where a CNN reporter is standing. Is he on a boat there, Dave? Looks like he's on a boat.
Yeah, it looks like he's right there in the river.
Of course, the bridge collapsing overnight in Baltimore when a cargo ship hit it. Let's listen live.
So it kind of gives you an idea of what people are up against here. The priority is, of course, finding people in the water right now. And again, we can kind of train in our cameras to see some of the vessels buzzing around this vessel here. But
Wow.
It really is just, it's a monumental task.
The
just to try
image
to
there,
recover,
Dave.
what is left of this, and then
It's
try
an
to find
enormous
people and try to
cargo
get
ship
commerce going again,
with
but it's gonna take a
hundreds of huge shipping containers. That is what ran into a support structure on the Key Bridge, causing it to collapse. It was a catastrophic collapse, but there are some details that happened in the final seconds that saved lives that we'll tell you about. It's 9:08. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
We also have a major developing story out of the NCAA tournament. The U of U, a women's basketball coach, saying the team went to Gonzaga in Spokane, where the Utes became victims of hate crimes. Things got so bad, she said in a news conference, they had to switch hotels. We're still trying to gather all the specifics about what happened and what she's specifically referring to when she talks about these hate crimes, and if the NCAA will do anything about it. She is, though. She's speaking out about it right now.
We had several instances of some kind of racial hate crimes towards our program, and incredibly upsetting for all of us.
Now, far too often, this happens, whether it's fans that are drunk and out of control or just racist. This kind of stuff happens. The fact that they had to switch hotels is a differentiator. That is something I've never heard of. So they must have felt so unsafe that they had to remove the entire team from the hotel.
Countdown. 2.
This, another very disturbing story. It is a miracle that not one woman who was a victim of this heinous crime was killed. Police telling us since August, Dave, women all over the Wasatch Front have been terrorized by a man behind the wheel of a white sedan. In Sandy, it was a mom and daughter left lying in the road. In Salt Lake City, a car racing through a crosswalk, smashing into a woman. She's left with a brain bleed, a skull fracture, pelvic fractures, in ICU, intubated. In another hit and run, a man tries to coax a woman into his white sedan. She and her friend run. He speeds up, hits her, throwing her over the hood of a car. This is just all kinds of terror on the streets of Salt Lake County for months, all involving women as victims. DA Sim Gill, live in the 10 o'clock hour to tell us if this man is connected to other attempted murders.
All of those things you described were the same man?
That's according to police.
I mean,
charged with 6 counts of attempted murder now, Dave.
That sounds like serial killer behavior, targeting these women. DA Gill joins us later in the show.
Launch countdown. 1.
It's just a heart-stopping scene in Baltimore this morning. It happened about 1:30 in the morning when this massive cargo ship crashes into a main commuter bridge overnight, sending cars on that bridge plunging into the water below. Video, very, very disturbing to watch. The bridge is 185 feet above water. Rescue efforts still underway in the waters there below that bridge. They're trying to find any signs of survivors.
This is a place that is a normal commute route for over 30,000 Marylanders every single day. And so to hear the words that the Key Bridge has collapsed, it's shocking.
And the video, again, this is 1:30 in the morning, Eastern time. We've seen the video over and over and over again. It's hard to wrap your mind around the scope and the size of this thing. As you said, Debbie, this bridge is 185 feet above the river, and this cargo ship is enormous.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
I'm just seeing now on CNN, Dave, that the ship workers' mayday that was sent may have actually saved lives. This Key Bridge, it's called the Key Bridge in Baltimore. It collapsed at about 1:30 this morning when a cargo ship crashed into it.
Let me tell you what I am seeing right now. The bridge is in pieces in the water. I mean, there's basically, we're by 695 because the sun has come up. We're getting a better look at what we can see. And I have to tell you, it's really chilling to see this because we're basically seeing just a ramp that where the bridge used to be and just nothing else there.
That's reporter Ken Duffy of WBAL in Baltimore reporting from the scene. And we are now learning that just before the collision, there was a warning. Here's Governor Westmore on that.
But we're thankful that between the Mayday and the collapse that we had officials who were able to begin to stop the flow of traffic, so more cars were not up on the bridge.
Debbie, I was watching the video on this because it's about 7 minutes long where you see the cargo ship start to come into frame. There was this live feed of the ship coming through. This is, again, 1:38 in the morning. And I'm watching cars cross. And then about 30 seconds before the collision, cars stop crossing. There's no more cars that cross. And it was 35 seconds after the final car crossed the bridge that there was this massive collision. The cargo ship runs into one of the support structures of the bridge, and then 2 seconds later, the entire bridge, or a huge chunk of the bridge, collapsed into the water. Now, you do see 4, maybe 5 vehicles that have flashing lights. It was like a road crew, a construction crew that was filling in potholes. Those vehicles do not move. In that 30 seconds where a car finally crosses and stops, these 4 vehicles never move. When the bridge collapses, those go into the water.
Do we know, Dave, have you been able to figure out, and I'm trying to read up on this, like how many people were in those cars, and have they found them? Have they been able to rescue them, or are they a full-on recovery mode right now?
The crew that was working on potholes, we don't know whether or not they were actually in the vehicles or if they were on the bridge.
Or they ran off the bridge.
Or if they ran off. There are 8. They believe there was 8 in total. 6 are still missing. 2 were found. 1 alive.
Next, we're going to go live to Baltimore. We're going to be joined by ABC News Live. They're on the scene right now.
People who, as we speak, are out there are divers, are air assets. People who right now are working to save lives.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Devotion to country, service to Utah. Brent Orrin Hatch had a front row seat, watching his father serve our state faithfully in the Senate. A constitutional conservative and lifelong Republican, Brent Orrin Hatch is a champion for the rule of law. He's running for Senate to stop this lawless president from destroying our country from within. Hatch will fight to secure the border once and for all and take on Mexican drug cartels to halt the flow of deadly fentanyl. Brent Orrin Hatch knows the national debt is just as big a threat to national security. Hatch won't rest until the budget's balanced and won't cave to the big spenders in both parties. Pro-life, deeply committed to religious liberty, rock-solid Utah conservative. Brent Orrin Hatch for Senate. Paid for by Conservative Outsider PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.copac.us.
The GOP speaker is getting weaker. Hopefully, somebody will step forward and lead. Does a new vote against Mike Johnson throw the U.S. House in turmoil again?
Everyone is unserious about having a serious conversation about the finances in this country.
Listen this week as Johnson navigates Republican discontent. Get the latest on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson this week from 1 to 3
on KSL News Radio.
I just elevated my checking account with Utah Community Credit Union. Tim, I'm so blown away at what I get with my elevated checking account at UCCU. I get so many benefits. I get cell phone protection and roadside assistance. The one that blows me away the most is telehealth. I actually get zero copay telehealth with my checking account from UCCU.
Did you know you also get a 0.25% loan discount? It's one of the many things. And if you like to travel or you're on the road quite a bit, a free ATM nationwide, 30,000 ATM locations that you can use while you're out.
Utah basketball star Walker Kessler and Utah Community Credit Union have come together to announce this brand new elevated checking account with more benefits, more savings, more online protections than ever before.
Yeah, there's even something for dark web monitoring, which I have never heard of before, but you can find out more by just going to uccu.com.
And open an elevated checking account online or stop by any branch.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
A lot of you already know that when it comes to HVAC maintenance, repair, and replacement, no one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services. And if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner, this ad's for you. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and right now we're having our most popular sale of the year. Here's how it works. When you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it, about $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. One of the reasons this sale is so popular, there are no gimmicks, like you have to buy our most expensive air conditioner to qualify for a free furnace. You could buy our most basic, least expensive air conditioner and you'd still get a new furnace for just the cost to install it. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services by March 31st and schedule a free estimate. One of our HVAC supervisors will come to your home and explain everything. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails from people all the time. Here's one. Dear Dan, I hear your talk about a lifetime service guarantee. Free? Really? Please help me avoid all your fine print and be honest about what free means. You understand that we should be very wary of a free offer. Signed, Skeptical. Hi, Skeptical. I remember 22 years ago when we started PC Laptops and our lifetime service guarantee, people thought it was too good to be true. Well, after a decade, people started believing me a little bit. But it's been 22 years of having the privilege to serve our friends and neighbors like you. Our lifetime service guarantee has become the most trusted warranty in the industry. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop computer, and they start at only $29 a month. Check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. Here's to seeing you soon, Skeptical.
We have lots of breaking news this morning, and that's where your KSL News Radio app comes in handy. We had the bridge collapse in Baltimore, which we're, of course, covering live here on the show, on the Dave and Dujanovic show. We've also had the arrest, Dave, of this 26-year-old man in the Salt Lake City area for a hit-and-run incidents involving numerous women. All of that is available on the KSL News Radio app.
Which makes it so easy. You can't always carry your radio with you. This is the way you follow the breaking news that we have. It's the KSL News Radio app. Now, this is different from the KSL app that you have on your phone. This is the KSL News Radio app.
Monster winds can cause huge damage to your roof that you can't see. Don't wait for a disaster. Go to the Masters at masterroofingutah.com to schedule your free windstorm assessment today.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, emergency crews in Baltimore still searching for maybe 6 people who are currently unaccounted for. Second, a black administrator for the University of Utah women's basketball team says she's still feeling the effects of some racist attacks she and the team faced before their game against Gonzaga. And third, Utah's state auditor says we might be relying too much on federal funding. We'll look for a high today of 50 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City, it is 38. Let's get you back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Following the developing story out of Baltimore, it happened at 1:30 in the morning where a cargo ship, a massive cargo ship, collided with the Key Bridge in Baltimore. It sent several cars plunging 185 feet into the water. Rescue operations still underway this morning. In a moment, ABC News joining us live. Governor Wes Moore taking to the microphones earlier this morning to describe the rescue efforts.
People who, as we speak, are out there are divers, are air assets, people who right now are working to save lives.
This is thousands of miles away, and they are searching for the the folks that are missing right now. I believe it's about half dozen people that are unaccounted for. But this is one of the largest hubs for shipping cars and trucks in America. So this is a major thoroughfare.
Let's get with Derek Dennis of ABC News. He's in Baltimore live right now. Derek, just walk us through what's going on the scene right now. Derek, you with us? Let's go live right now to WBAL television while we wait to connect with Derek, who's in Baltimore. WBAL TV is in Baltimore. They're reporting right now that a search is underway on this bridge collapse day for 6 construction workers.
And
let's take it live.
What does that mean for the people who work there? Will they be laid off? Will they lose work? Is that in addition to helping first responders right now, is that some of the work you anticipating doing for going forward?
Yes, there are benevolence and then donations that come into the church.
Not quite sure what the line of questioning is right now with that reporter at WBAL TV, but we'll check back in live with them in just a few minutes. They are on the scene as well.
What we do know is this, or do we have ABC
We've got
News
Derek,
right now?
yeah.
All right, Derek, thank you for joining us.
Hi there.
Can you give us the latest?
Sure. I'm here at the scene, and I'm looking at the roadway leading to the bridge, and I'm looking at just sky, where the Francis Scott Key Bridge used to cross the Patapsco River. It is no more. This collapse happening overnight, 1:30 in the morning, a container ship hitting a structural column of the bridge and causing it to twist and buckle and then fall into the river below. We know there was a pothole repair crew on the bridge span doing work overnight. Those workers went into the water. There were cars and trucks crossing the span. Those cars and trucks went into the water, and then the bridge itself collapsing into the river below. And so there is a continuing search for any survivors here. At last count, according to Governor Wes Moore of Maryland, 6 people remain unaccounted for. But there was earlier 2 people who were rescued from the water. One declined medical attention, the other critically injured and sent to a local hospital. And so the search and rescue effort is still continuing this hour, hours after this overnight collapse.
Derek Dennis of ABC News live in Baltimore for us this morning, where this bridge collapsed overnight. It was a cargo ship that crashed into the bridge, and it sent cars and people who were on the bridge. It was a construction crew repairing some potholes there into the water below, where several people still unaccounted for. Preliminary information, Derek, suggests that this was not an intentional act, that this was, Are they calling it purely an accident?
Absolutely an accident, and ABC News confirmed this early on this morning that the container ship lost propulsion, lost power as it was nearing the bridge. And in fact, the captain was able to get in contact with the bridge, radio in saying essentially mayday, and that it had lost power and that a crash was imminent. And that's exactly what happened. And so this is an accident. No nexus to terrorism, a container ship losing power, striking a critical support column for this bridge and causing it to collapse with people on the span.
Derek, do we know how fast the container ship was moving? Was this being pulled along by tugboats, or was this under its own power?
It was on its own power. We don't know how fast it was going, and we don't know how many cars and trucks were on the bridge at the time. That's a question mark that authorities just haven't been able to answer. But we know a dive team has been on the water and that they're using sonar equipment, and that sonar equipment has detected submerged vehicles in the water. There were different numbers all morning long of how many people were unaccounted for. It was 7. It was up to 20. Now we're down to 6 people unaccounted for this hour, according to the governor of Maryland, and the search and rescue effort is still continuing.
Derek Dennis of ABC News live in Baltimore, Maryland, right now for us, walking us through what's going on with the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. I've been to Maryland a number of times there, Derek, but I'm not quite sure I don't know a lot about this Francis Scott Key Bridge. I don't know if I've traveled on it in the past. Maybe you can help describe for our listeners what kind of function this bridge serves for, as a main artery, is it a commuter route?
Well, so most people through Baltimore take I-95. That's the sort of the main highway north and south. The Key Bridge connects southern Baltimore to other parts of Maryland, and it is a key artery, especially for truckers, because it's a hazmat-approved route, meaning trucks carrying hazardous materials can't go on I-95 because of tunnel restrictions. So they would take this route around to go south. 11 million vehicles a year travel over this bridge. I talked to truckers who are now being rerouted in other directions to get around it. So it is a major thoroughfare, and it is gone today. Literally, I'm looking at the span just chopped off, just gone, and empty sky where a bridge once spanned.
Derek Dennis, thank you for joining us, ABC News correspondent out of Baltimore.
So Governor Moore saying a few hours ago that looking ahead, of course, they're still dealing with this search and now probably recovery efforts of at least 6 construction workers that they believe were plunged into that water below. Looking ahead, they've got to look at rebuilding.
We are going to make sure that this is not just rebuilt, but that we are going to rebuild in a way that remembers the people who this tragedy has impacted, and also do it in a way that honors the community that it serves. But right now, I could not give you any form of estimate on timing or cost. Right now, my and all of our exclusive focus is we're just trying to save lives.
But the cleanup will be massive. There's a 50-foot channel that needs to be cleared because of all these container ships. So the debris from the wreckage, the rebuilding, this will be shut down for a very long time.
A major artery in Baltimore now in the water, and many people are missing. At least 6 people missing. Construction workers were working on potholes, repairing potholes on the Key Bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore overnight when a cargo ship crashed into the bridge and it collapsed, sending the few people who were on the bridge, because the Mayday call did stop several cars from entering the bridge, but it sent several people into the water below. So we'll continue to track that in the 10 o'clock and the 11 o'clock hour of the show today.
Yeah, we're looking at a live photo or a live video of the cargo ship right now. The cargo ship is still underneath the bridge. The bridge is still collapsed over the cargo ship. It is just sitting there.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes with a quick look at some of our top stories this morning. Utah State Auditor says we might be relying too much on federal funding. KSL News Radio's Adam Small explains.
A yearly audit found that Utah leaders used federal funds to cover more than a quarter of our expenses in the last fiscal year. KSL.com reports State Auditor John Dougal is now encouraging state lawmakers to reconsider this habit of leaning on Congress, which he described as, quote, a single funding source with such dysfunction. He continues saying, quote, Congress must eventually realize it can't afford to subsidize the states with money that Congress doesn't have.
In the budget passed this past legislative session, lawmakers again allocated federal funds for more than a quarter of all of our expenses. The woman accused of killing her husband and then writing a children's book on grief is facing additional charges for mortgage fraud, insurance fraud, and forgery. Court documents say that Corey Richens submitted fake bank statements to secure a mortgage loan back in 2021. She's also accused of forging her husband's name on a life insurance application. Our top national story this hour from ABC. Maryland state officials confirmed this morning that the cargo ship that ran into the Francis Scott Key Bridge had broadcast a distress call reporting a power issue shortly before impact with the bridge.
I think it'll focus on what happened on that ship, because it was 2 days ago that this bridge commemorated 47 years of serving the people of Baltimore and this region. There was nothing wrong with the bridge over the course of those years. This ship did lose control, and I think the investigation will focus on that. Why?
ABC's Terry Moran reporting there on the scene in Baltimore. Your money at this moment, we're still in the green. The Dow still up 94 points this hour. The S&P with a gain of 14, and the NASDAQ is up, 55 points. Coming up, more scattered rain and snow. We might see a little of both this afternoon with these clouds. We'll check your forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
It's officially spring. It still feels winter to my skin. When the winter season hits, my skin dries out. My whole family really deals with dry skin. It's why we decided to call Connecticut of Utah and have them come out to our house, because they said Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country, and you can really feel the difference during the winter season, especially. So soft water has made that almost a problem of the past. It's been such a great thing for our family. It's why my wife and I decided to make the investment in our home, and that's really how we looked at it. We looked at it as an investment in our home. There's a 10-year warranty. You can enjoy all of the benefits of soft water. It's great for your skin when you shower and take a bath. It's great for your laundry, your dishes, your expensive appliances, anything where that water runs through those expensive appliances. Soft water will prolong that life for a very long time. So give them a call, 801-576-8600. That's Connecticut of Utah. They're an authorized Connecticut dealer, 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com.
Spring is in the air, but so are airborne allergens like tree pollen, grass, mold, and ragweed. If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage springs into action quickly, helping you breathe more clearly in just 30 seconds. And you don't need a never-ending cycle of decongestants that can leave you feeling drowsy. Navage is the fast and easy drug-free allergy solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Get Navage today so you can get outdoors and enjoy your favorite springtime activities. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage. Breathe easy.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And did you know that we get a bunch of service calls per year from people who didn't even hire us? That means they originally hired someone else to replace their siding, gutters, and windows. Then later, when a problem popped up, they tried to call their contractor back to fix it, only to find out that the contractor has ceased to exist. They're gone, done, out of business. At RGS Exteriors, we've been serving Utah for 70 years. As a fifth-generation owned contractor, we've got customers who are the grandkids of our customers we had in the 1950s and 60s. We're not going anywhere. We will be here when you need us, period. For siding, gutters, and windows, now and forever, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit at rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Time again for traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app, where you can save up to 20 cents a gallon. Heather, looks like it's drying out a little bit out there this hour.
Well, it is if you're in the Salt Lake Valley or Utah County. We've got the sun out. The roads are starting to dry out. But the snow squall that was hitting I-84 through Morgan County a little bit earlier is now directly over Parley Summit. I-80, both eastbound and westbound, it just completely snow-covered. All we see are the tracks of tires on the roadway right now going to and from Park City. And we've had a few accidents on SR 224 as you exit I-80 at Kimball Junction. So things are still pretty treacherous in some of the higher elevations. Box Elder County has gone to the birds. Spring migration is here at Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge. See what visitors are chirping about with Box Elder County. For info, activities, and more, visit boxeldercounty.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
More scattered rain and snow today with a high of 50. We start to dry out tomorrow with a high of 53. Matter of fact, it's the only day of the next 7 that doesn't have at least a slight chance of precipitation. 60 by Thursday, and another storm starts moving in on Thursday afternoon. Right now in Salt Lake City, a little sunshine downtown and 38 degrees. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Tim Hughes, reminding you to listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We are 20 days out from tax day. You got to get your taxes mailed in by, of course, April 15th. A lot of folks are going to be getting a refund, and we are doing full coverage this week. All things that you need to know about taxes. Yesterday, we had some last-minute tips on tax deductions that you might not normally think about. Today, we're going to talk about, you're getting a tax refund. Most people will be. Well, which comes first, Dave? Do you pay down your debt? Do you start an emergency fund? Or do you take your family on that much-needed Disneyland vacation?
We always have very big plans. Like, we want to do the Disneyland vacation. We always get it, especially when we had 4 kids all living at home under 18. We were getting big checks coming back during tax time. We always had big plans, but that's when car registration pops up, and it needs new tires for the car, and it just gets whittled away. But we always take a chunk of it, even if it's $100 to go out to a nice dinner or something. We always take a small portion of it for fun.
So a little bit of fun money.
We try to have as much fun as we can.
And a lot of not so fun spending with your tax refund. Well, almost half of Americans, according to Bankrate, are expecting a refund. And they'll either put the money toward a savings account or debt repayment. I was surprised to see, Ted, that not as many are going to be using it to, take their family to Disneyland. Ted Rossman with Bankrate, frequent guest of the show. What's your expert advice on this?
Most people are planning to use their tax refunds very practically this year, which is in keeping with past years. One big change this year is that savings is number 1, debt payoff is number 2. Last year it was reversed. We've actually been doing similar research since 2015. This year actually marked the lowest figure we've ever found for debt payoff, which I thought was kind of surprising. But that money is generally going towards savings, not a big splurge.
That does surprise me. I would think if you have debt versus savings, is there a sense that maybe debt isn't quite the burden this year and that people can tuck it away a little bit more?
It's kind of surprising because credit card balances are at record highs. They're up almost 50% in the past 3 years. Credit card rates are at record highs. The average is 20.75%. So with all that as the backdrop, I really thought debt payoff would be more of a priority. I think for a lot of people, though, savings is the other side of that same coin, because if you don't have savings, then the next unexpected expense pushes you into credit card debt or maybe deeper into credit card debt. That's the biggest cause of credit card debt, some sort of unexpected expense. Maybe it's a vet bill or a medical bill, a car repair, home repair. Second on that list of things that get people into credit card debt are just day-to-day living, outpacing their paycheck. And I empathize with that, given high inflation. I think some people view savings as part of the cure there as well. So maybe people are just reframing how they think about it. For a lot of people, though, honestly, the right answer is some of both. Maybe save some of your refund, put some of it towards high-cost debt like credit card debt. The average refund is a little over $3,000. So we're talking about a nice chunk of change here. You could do some of both.
Ted Rossman with Bankrate on the line with us live. We're talking taxes this week as we walk you up to tax day on April 15th. According to Bankrate, they've got a survey that says nearly half of Americans are expecting a tax refund, and they say they'll use it to save or to pay off debt instead of using it for fun money. And Ted, $3,000, you're right, that is a nice chunk of change. What if folks went about it this way? They put half of it toward their debt and they put the other half in an emergency fund?
I think that's a really good approach. Yeah, I think most people would be well served by doing both because no shame, but a lot of people are undersaved for emergencies and a lot of people have credit card debt. So I think attacking both is important. I may suggest also carving out a little bit of fun money while you're at it.
Okay.
We don't want to be all work and no play. Maybe you put 90% of your refund towards something practical. Maybe in this example, it's 45% towards savings, 45% towards debt payoff. I'm kind of approximating here, but maybe you carve out a little bit of fun money as well. If the average refund is $3,000 and you carve out 10% for fun, that's $300 right there. Your amounts may vary, but I think that's kind of a good principle, is that we want to use most of it responsibly, but if you want to treat yourself a little bit, that could be healthy too.
Ted Rossman, thank you for joining us from Bankrate.
And in just a few minutes, Dave, we want to take our listeners' live phone calls. I'm very, very curious to know if there's decision within the family or a war going on in the family between spouses of how they're going to spend that tax refund. Is it for fun money? Is it for savings? Is it to pay down debt? I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But what do you do in your family?
We do almost exactly what he said. We spend probably 90% of it on very responsible things, some very adulty things.
But you just said some of these things kind of catch you out of the blue, like the car registrations, yuck,
yeah.
Right? And the tires, yuck. Is that not something that you're looking ahead to with your tax refund, or are these things that just seem to just pop up the wrong time?
For some reason, anytime I get an influx of cash, even if it's like a bonus at work, I can almost guarantee you something in the house is breaking or I've got to address it. It just never ends up being the fun stuff that we want to spend it on.
Not to get personal, but to get personal, do you and your wife usually agree on how you're going to spend your tax refund?
Yeah.
Or is there you don't have a bidding war or anything like that going on?
No, it's usually pretty clear where the money needs to go. Now, one thing I find interesting as we have seen this year that most people are going to put the majority of it into savings is because savings accounts right now are actually offering a pretty good return. So money markets typically can be like nothing. Mm-hmm. Well, there's several percentage points now. So when you are saving it, you are getting a little bit of a kickback.
So all you lucky folks who are getting a tax refund, which comes first? Do you pay down debt? You're going to start an emergency fund? You're going to stick some of it in savings? Or are you going to take your fam to Disneyland? And take your live phone calls next. 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. How you spending that big old $3,000 check you're getting from the feds?
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Marcus is a connoisseur of anything that's free, so he was happy to read the disclaimer on TurboTax Free Edition.
Roughly 37% of taxpayers qualify. Form 1040 and limited credits only. See how at TurboTax.com. That's me!
File your taxes 100% free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your max refund guaranteed. See if you qualify to file for free at TurboTax.com. See max refund guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Here at IFA Country Stores, we're celebrating 101 years in the Intermountain West with our 101 Ways to Grow sale, featuring 3 unique sales in 3 weeks. From March 25th to 31st, flock to IFA to grow your chicks and chickens with backyard specials on everything from chicken coops, brooders, and bedding to high-quality supplements and locally milled feed. Visit your local IFA or shop IFACountryStores.com for details. Grow with backyard specials March 25th to 31st, only at IFA.
Transform your old, outdated kitchen with half-price granite. For a limited time, half-price granite is offering special pricing starting at $25 per square foot installed. That's lower than most big box stores. These prices are some of the lowest around. Granite, quartz, marble, and quartzite, all starting at $25 per square foot installed. Call 801-486-1700 or visit halfpricegranite.com. Half-price granite, affordable luxury.
I'm what you might call very good at hide and seek. This one time, my parents had to round up the whole neighborhood to track me down. It was a mess. A lot of tears. Well, now that we got Xfinity, we have Wi-Fi all over the house, including all my favorite super secret hiding spots. So I can kill time in here by streaming my shows and...
Ha! Found you.
The heck? How?
You left Find My tablet on.
This generation, ruining the game with their performance enhancers.
Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through June 21st, get gig speed internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless plan and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Gig speed Wi-Fi requires gig internet and Xfinity Gateway. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
As we continue to track the breaking news out of Baltimore this morning, where a major bridge was collapsed, it was crashed into overnight by a cargo ship. You can also follow right along on your KSL News Radio app, and that app is totally free to download. It just takes a couple of minutes, Dave.
Yes, and the key there was the KSL News Radio app. You already have the KSL app on your phone. That's fine. This one is designed specifically for the radio, so make sure you download it. Again, it's free. Listen live, push notification. It's got it all. KSL News Radio.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, officials in Baltimore, Maryland say a cargo ship that hit and destroyed a major bridge did have a power failure as it was trying to leave the port. Second, Utah's women's basketball team says they had to switch hotels Thursday because of multiple instances of racism as they prepared for their NCAA tournament game. Third, the Utah system of higher education is working on a program that would allow students to graduate with a bachelor's degree in just 3 years. We're going to look for a high today of 50 and a little sunshine downtown this hour. It's 38 degrees. Let's get you back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Before we take your live phone calls, about your tax refund, you should be getting most people getting about $3,000 back this year, and how you're going to spend it. Just want to spend just a few moments here, Dave, bringing our listeners up to speed on this major story out of Baltimore. Happened this morning at 1:30 in the morning, where a bridge there, 185-foot high bridge over the water there, collapsed when a cargo ship crashed into it. WBAL Television's Ken Duffy describes what he was seeing when he arrived on the scene.
Let me tell you what I am seeing right now. The bridge is in pieces in the water. I mean, there's basically, we're by 695 because the sun has come up. We're getting a better look at what we can see. And I have to tell you, it's really chilling to see this because we're basically seeing just a ramp that where the bridge used to be and just nothing else there.
There are still search and rescue efforts underway. We're going to take you back to the scene in the 10 o'clock hour.
And we've posted this video on the KSL News Radio Facebook page. It's on my Twitter, X, at Dave Noriega. But what I did is it takes about 7 minutes, the video that we have, for the ship to come into screen. It's only traveling at 9 miles an hour or 8 knots. So it's moving slowly, but you can see the lights on the ship turning off and on. There was clearly a power issue going on. There was a mayday call just before it crashed into the bridge. The bridge was able to be shut down. There were still a handful of people that were on the bridge. 6 are unaccounted for. 2 were found. And that's where we're at right now. We're still learning. Search and rescue is still looking for the vehicles that slid into the water as well as the people.
Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We're also talking about your taxes this morning. Most Americans expecting to get a hefty tax return. Nearly half will get a return. We just spoke with Bankrate's Ted Rossman, who told us, hey, it'll be about $3,000 per return. So what are you going to be doing with your tax return this year? Are you going to be saving it? Are you going to be putting it toward debt? Or are you going to be taking that $3,000 and going to Disneyland?
Most people are planning to use their tax refunds very practically this year, which is in keeping with past years. One big change this year is that savings is number one, debt payoff is number two. Last year it was reversed. We've actually been doing similar research since 2015. This year actually marked the lowest figure we've ever found for debt payoff, which I thought was kind of surprising. But that money is generally going towards savings, not a big splurge.
Only 20% of Americans are planning on using it for fun money. And I think that probably speaks to the state of people's finances. If you feel like you need to save it or you're putting it toward debt and you can't use it as that fun money, it's probably because things are a little tight.
We also posted this question on our KSL News Radio Facebook page. How do you plan on spending your tax return? What works best for your family? And Sonia says, saved it. And congratulations. They also still have last year's in savings too. And then Jacqueline says, we use it to pay bills off and vacations. Christina says, we save it. Didn't have it all year, so we pretend we still don't have it and put it into savings. Do you tend to use your, I guess, the amount of money that the feds collect from your paycheck as a somewhat of a quasi-savings plan, Dave?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, I totally do that. And I can hear you yelling at the radio right now. Don't do that, Dave. Don't give
why would you give them
the government
the money?
Yeah, an interest-free loan essentially is what it ends up being. The problem is, or the good thing, I guess, in my own mind, is when they take it out of the paycheck that I just never see this, and then I get this chunk of money, it's guaranteeing that I'm saving it. And that's worked for us. It's worked for us for a long time. The problem I'm running into right now, and I think a lot of people run into this eventually, is once your kids start growing up and you don't have all the tax deductions, then that refund starts. It starts not looking so good.
You don't have to tap dance around it.
You know, like Debbie,
Uncle Sam,
who doesn't get anything and still has to pay Uncle Sam.
I was just telling Dave how much I owe. It's more than $5,000.
Ugh. Why don't you pay during the year? That's crazy.
Look, it's under consideration.
Oh,
it does. It just
does it just hurt every fiber of your being to write that check out?
I'm used to it. Because I love living in America. Are you kidding me? $5,000 extras, nothing. Hi, Dawn. Are you? Do you use your tax refunds for fun, or do you pay down debt, or do you stick it in savings?
Let's just say I don't get any, but that's okay.
You don't get any. You're like me.
Yeah, but I got a question to ask you guys, and I think you guys maybe know a little bit more about it than I do. But the question is this: every time tax season comes around, all I hear about is people getting tax refunds. Okay, but then I question, why is anybody getting any refund at all when this country owes $33 trillion? It's kind of like, I get it. You pay your taxes all year long, and then all of a sudden, you do your taxes, and they say, hey, you paid this too much. You get $3,000 back. But my point being is I can't understand why you need money if we owe that much money in the national debt. How are we going to pay it off if it's not through taxes? So I don't know. I personally, if I did get a tax return, I'd say save it. Put it in a savings account for a rainy day.
Well, Don, as always, we appreciate you listening, and you bring up an excellent point. I can't argue with that.
Well, here it is. These are all rough calculations throughout the year when you put your deductions in. True. So they just take a big chunk of money. You're only responsible for a percentage. So say you're at 18% tax bracket, but they've collected 25% of your paycheck, then that's where the makeup comes from. So you're only responsible for your tax bracket money. Any other money you pay above and beyond, that is what the tax refund is.
Well, on when you're filing your refund, they ask you if you want to donate to different causes. I think it was like political campaigns.
The $3?
Yeah.
I will not let my kids donate to that. I'm like, nope. They don't get $3 more. They don't get $3 more for random campaign contribution.
But I wonder if we could do the same with the debt, the national debt. You want to give $5? They do it at all the stores. You want to round out to the next dollar so we can give, 10 cents to a charity.
I always say no, and I always say no because I don't care about the children.
I started saying no, but I doubt that any American would be like, yes, give that $5.
Now, you know what? That actually would be a pretty good idea. If we knew it would go directly to the debt.
Next, women all over the Wasatch Front terrorized by a man in a white sedan crashing into them as they walked. It's a call according to police. And next, we're going to ask District Attorney Sim Gill when he joins the show if there are maybe more victims out there.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Coast Guard crews still looking for at least 6 people still missing after the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge near Baltimore. 2 people have been recovered from the water. 1 was seriously injured. Sonar has found cars underwater. The bridge collapsed after a container ship hit one of the main pylons. The Utah women's basketball team says they were the target of multiple racist incidents in the days before they were knocked out of the NCAA tournament by Gonzaga. A school administrator tells KSL.com while they were staying at a hotel in Coeur d'Alene, somebody in a truck shouted the N-word at them on their way to a restaurant, then again on their way out. Utah head coach Lynn Roberts called what happened a distraction and upsetting.
This should be a joyous time for our program, and to have kind of a black eye on that experience is unfortunate.
Gonzaga and the NCAA did help them find a new hotel in Spokane. The team has also filed a police report. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day, 109 points. The NASDAQ is up 71. And our KSL weather, we'll see some more showers today. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
CNN's Gabe Cohen is on the scene. Gabe, you have been there for hours talking to officials. What are you learning?
Well, Mono, we know this search and rescue operation is still unfolding just down the river from where I'm standing. I'm going to step out of the way and let you take a closer view of that massive container ship just down the way. You can see mangled pieces of steel, what's left of the Key Bridge, laying across the front of that ship, as well as steel on either side of the boat.
3 days only. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Save thousands on hot tubs and swim spas. It's a major manufacturer's liquidation of hundreds of in-stock spas. Utah State Fair Park. Hot tubs discounted 40 to 80% to the lowest possible price, starting at $29.99. Free professional delivery. Take possession tomorrow, next week, next month, or next season. The Hot Tub and Swim Spa Sale. Utah State Fair Park. Shop over a dozen models of swim spas from 11 feet to over 19 feet. Swim spas offer low-impact exercise, active family fun, unsurpassed relaxation, and installation in one day. The Hot Tub and Swim Spa Sale. Everything must go. Free parking, free admission. You can't afford to miss this. It's a major manufacturer's liquidation of hundreds of in-stock spas.
Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
The Hot Tub and Swim Spa Sale. Utah State Fair Park. Visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served. Or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a third-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
A lot can happen between falling in love with a house online and owning it, between imagining living there and breathing in your new home for the first time. Having an advocate who can help you navigate the complex world of financing, inspections, negotiating, analyzing the market, and talking through any anxieties that may pop up, that can make all the difference. That's what the expertise of a Realtor can do for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and bound by a code of ethics, because that's who we are.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a new crash on the east side belt. This is I-215 southbound in Mill Creek, right at the 4500 south exit ramp. 2 left lanes are blocked, only 1 right lane getting through there. We also have snow falling in that area. It's making the roadways very slippery right now. So everybody should definitely be slowing down their speeds, both northbound and southbound on the I-215 East Belt, and that snow extends into Parley's Canyon, making for a slick drive, especially over the summit. Zero Res, get 1 room clean starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum and 25% off all other services. Use promo code CLEANWEEK. Zero Res. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Our KSL weather showers continue today, but things dry out tomorrow. Another front arrives on Thursday with clouds and a chance of rain. And right now, we're at 39 degrees. It's mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bamas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. We're anticipating a live news conference with authorities in Baltimore on the bridge collapse, and we'll join that when we have the option. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, or Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Of course, we're continuing to track the latest developments out of Baltimore, where that cargo ship crashed into the Key Bridge. It's a major bridge in Baltimore. It crashed into it about 1:38 this morning. It sent people into the water. CNN reporting that one person's been hospitalized, 6 still unaccounted for. We learned earlier today from ABC News as they joined us live from Baltimore that a construction crew was working on the bridge, filling up potholes just before that cargo ship crashed into it, Dave. And we're not sure if those are the folks, the workers who are unaccounted for, although earlier today I did see information from one of the news stations saying that it was the construction workers.
Yeah, they were filling some potholes, and as I was looking through the video, one of the most surprising moments for me was just seconds before the collision into the bridge. The captain of the ship, I'm assuming, gave a mayday alert to the bridge, and they shut off traffic across the bridge. And the final car crossed the bridge, as I was examining the video, about 30 seconds before it collapsed.
I want to dip into CNN. The reporter there still on a boat in the harbor area reporting live from this scene. Let's listen.
Yeah, Brian Todd, thank you for that. A report from the boat. We'll, again, check back in with you as well, especially in this key moment, these desperate moments.
Looks like they just left the reporter that was reporting from the boat side.
Now, the White House
also waiting a live news conference from the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board. As soon as that press conference opens up, we'll take you there live to get the very latest.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
We have got to talk about what has been happening all over the Wasatch Front, specifically to women. Several women targeted by a man in a white sedan while they were walking. There's all kinds of different circumstances surrounding how these hit and runs went down. But this man is now in custody. He's 26 years old. It took police several months, Dave, to piece it all together. The first hit and run crash happened in August, and he was very recently arrested. I'm going to walk you through the terror that these women were put through. And again, they were pedestrians. They were out walking, according to police. And in a few minutes, the district attorney is going to be joining us live, where we're going to ask him the question, could there be other victims?
I can tell you, when I first heard this story, and you started to describe what seems, quite frankly, to be the targeting of women, it felt like serial killer behavior. It really did. Even though none of these women passed away, shockingly.
It's a miracle.
It's shockingly.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think this is the kind of behavior that you read about in serial killers.
Let's go over the news release that the Salt Lake City Police Department sent us. It lays out the timeline, and then I want to get to the allegations that were laid out in the criminal charges. This man has been charged with 6 counts of attempted murder, all involving women. Starts in August 22nd. He's accused of hitting a 36-year-old woman near downtown Salt Lake. Then a couple of months go by. Now, mind you, we don't know if there may be other incidents that police haven't been able to get their arms wrapped around just yet or piece together to see if they're all connected. End of February, accused of hitting a 50-year-old woman and her daughter in Sandy, leaving them both lying in the road. 4 days later, accused of hitting a 44-year-old woman and a 50-year-old woman in the Salt Lake City area. And then March 11th, which appears to be the final incident, accused of hitting a 20-year-old woman at 6 West and North Temple. That's just right down the street from Broadcast House. I mean, so many of us walk around this area after we're when we're taking a little bit of a break. And this happens to this woman. She's 20 years old, and she was critically injured. But there's other critical injuries as well. I'm going to talk about those in just a moment because the details in the charges, Dave, just make you sick.
Well, and to your point when you said there might be others out there, hit and run is something that we cover often at this station. We do so much with traffic, and when there is a pedestrian involved, if there's a hit and run, we cover this often enough. And trying to track down hit and run is difficult. It depends.
Yeah.
Were there witnesses? Was there video? Were there was the person that was hurt, did they get a description, or did they see what had happened? You know, these are extremely difficult to follow up on.
Well, in this case, there was a lot of video, and usually there are these days. There's lots of different, Ring doorbell cameras, and maybe there's some surveillance cameras that businesses have. Police were able to connect it. It was a white sedan seems to be used over and over again in each of these cases. And if you think, oh, well, maybe he didn't mean to hit women, it's just kind of, he was just targeting people, but he didn't. The way that these charges are laid out, in my mind, it was very intentional that women were his target. So let me take you to the one at 5th South and 10th West in August. There's a woman, she says this guy pulled up to her, tries to get her in, coax her into the car several times. Her and her walking buddy run away. They try to get away. Well, he slams into her, throws her over the hood of the car. So the fact that he's trying to make contact with her beforehand, he knows what he's doing, in my view. In Sandy, this next incident happens in February in Sandy, involving a mother and her daughter. Left lying in the road. Officers found some home security footage which showed a white Toyota Avalon in the area driving down the street 3 times. 3 times he drives down the street prior to the accident. Then let's move forward to the hit and run accident that happens 4 days later. A woman, it looks like a friend is with her. They're walking. Here's a vehicle accelerating before they're struck from behind. Again, older white sedan is the description. One woman suffers a concussion, lacerations to her head, fractured front tooth. She has to have, surgery. Friend loses consciousness at the scene, suffers a brain bleed, a concussion, a hand fracture, lacerations to her head and her scalp. And then there's this incident where 2 women are waiting to cross the street in March, right over here at 6 West and North Temple. And they enter the crosswalk, and they see a white vehicle, driving in the area. They start to cross the crosswalk. In the crosswalk, a Toyota is observed, speeding up. Then, bam, sound of a collision is heard. The driver of the Toyota did not use his brakes nor attempt to stop before hitting one of the women. Rib fractures, brain bleed, skull fracture, multiple pelvic fractures. Ends up intubated on a ventilator in the ICU. As you said, Dave, screams of serial killer behavior. Multiple women terrorized for months, over the course of at least 6 months here in Salt Lake County and maybe beyond. Straight ahead, let's talk to District Attorney Sim Gill. Are there more victims out there?
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
The GOP speaker is getting weaker. Hopefully, somebody will step forward and lead. Does a new vote against Mike Johnson throw the U.S. House in turmoil again?
Everyone is unserious about having a serious conversation about the finances in this country.
Listen this week as Johnson navigates Republican discontent. Get the latest on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson this week from 1 to 3
on KSL News Radio.
Discover the best of senior living at Trio Orem and Trio South Ogden. Today's older adults aren't wrapping up their life's journey, they're seeking a new one. And Trio Independent Living is here to help them do just that. With a smart, modern, and connected lifestyle, residents cultivate relationships and maximize independence through signature programs like Prime Fit Wellness that bring living well and well-being to life. Welcome to the new age of senior living at Trio.
Schedule your visit at leisurecare.com/Utah today.
Hey, have you saved more than $200,000 in an IRA or 401k? You may not realize it now, but you've got a big problem on your hands. And that problem is taxes. Because if you don't take advantage of some tax planning strategies now, Uncle Sam could take a big chunk of your hard-earned retirement savings. Learn how you could reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k with a free retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000, schedule your free tax strategy session now by calling 801-896-9622. Discover the tax planning strategies that could dramatically reduce your taxes in retirement. Call 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622. 9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
What would you say if I told you you could get a free furnace? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I hope you'd at least say, tell me more. Now, before you get too excited, let me explain how this works and why we do our free furnace sale. We feel like we've got the best HVAC techs around, and we want to keep them. But the only way we can do that is if they're working and providing for their families, so we set money aside for this free furnace sale. We're only able to give you this great deal because you're helping us keep our guys busy. It's actually great if you've been thinking about replacing both your furnace and air conditioner, because when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services by March 31st to schedule a free estimate. One of our HVAC supervisors will come to your home and explain all the details. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Make sure you download the KSL News Radio app today. We've got a lot of news going on. In just a few minutes, the president is expected to update us on that bridge collapse in Baltimore. And this is all information, Dave, that you can find on our KSL News Radio app.
It's different from the KSL app that you probably have on your phone already. This is specifically designed for the radio, so it's the KSL News Radio app.
What's in your garden? Oakdale Organic Compost nutrient-rich formula makes vegetables, flowers, trees, and lawns grow beautifully. No wonder it's the official compost of Thanksgiving Point. Visit Oakdale.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Coast Guard crews still searching for victims of a bridge collapse near Baltimore. Second, the University of Utah women's basketball team was a target of racial slurs at their hotel before they played Gonzaga last night. Third, some of Utah's public colleges will be offering bachelor's degrees that take just 3 years instead of 4. And right now, 42 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Multiple women terrorized all over the Wasatch Front as they were out doing something that we all do every single day, walking. They were pedestrians. Targeted, according to the district attorney and to the Salt Lake City Police Department, by one man driving an older model white sedan who would intentionally speed up, run them over, tried to coax one to get in the car with him, and when she didn't and tried to run away with her friend, he ran her over and flipped her over the hood of the car. One Dave incident right over here in downtown Salt Lake on 6th West and North Temple landed a woman in the ICU, and we want to make sure we're checking in with District Attorney Sim Gill in just a moment on her condition.
Yeah, with some absolutely terrible injuries. Now, if this was any other weapon, and a car can absolutely be used as a weapon, if this were a knife or a gun, with this number and how often it happened, we'd be talking about a serial killer. And that's where my mind goes when I see such a consistent targeting using the same weapon, the vehicle as the weapon. That's exactly where my mind goes.
It's been going on for months. I'm so glad this individual is in custody, DA Gill. What a relief. I do want to start, though, where my heart is, and that is with these women, and I'm so grateful. I think it's a miracle they've all managed to survive. Just in general, how are they all doing?
Well, I think you've both identified. I think this was a terribly traumatic experience. Just even on an accident, to experience that is unimaginable. When you recognize through the investigation that there's multiple victims being targeted, absolutely. I think they're all incredibly brave women. They've undergone some really severe trauma. And luckily, right now, they're in various degrees, they're recovering, but with some really serious injuries. And just thank God that nobody was killed as a result of this, but absolutely terrible experience for all of them.
You've laid this out. We've spoken about it a little bit, but how did you come to the realization that this was not just bad driving? What happened?
Well, I think, that's one of the things. David, your earlier comments, this is, and Debbie, this is a conduct that we do daily. And accidents happen. That's just part of our life. And so I think this conduct was hidden under sort of the frequency of accidents that happen.
Yeah.
It was just, and our probable cause statement lays conduct going back to 2023, and then the frequency with which it also escalated in 2024. And I hope this is all of it, but we're out there trying to investigate that. But it is that volume of conduct that was there, and we started to piece it together because the information that was coming together identified the same vehicle. Some of the intelligence work and the investigative work that was done by Salt Lake City PD, Sandy PD, and the accident reconstruction, we started to piece that it was the same vehicle. And all of a sudden, those pieces started to fall together, that this isn't some accident, one-off, but maybe more intentional, more deliberate, and targeting women in particular over a course of time and over multiple incidents that we have thus far identified.
We're talking live with Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill about a case involving the arrest of a man. He's 26 years old. Many women over the course of several months hit during hit-and-run incidents, and now police have connected all of these incidents. He's charged with 6 counts of attempted murder and various other charges as well. None of the women died, but several of them suffered very, very serious injuries. One even had to be intubated. She's in ICU. Brain bleeds, skull fractures, pelvic fractures. Women were left lying in the streets. And in the charging documents, Sim, you say that it appears he would speed up at times. In one case, he was stalking some women back and forth, driving back and forth up the road, and then speed up and hit women. What in the world? Is there any idea? Is there a reason, a motive yet for this?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that as we continue to move through our investigation and prosecution, we might be able to put some of that together. But whether we ever get to that or fully understand, it is clear that on the objective evidence that was presented and as outlined in our probable cause statement, that there were multiple witnesses, as well as some of the other evidence that was gathered, seemed to indicate that there was this, at times, stalking behavior of his targets, that he waited and saw them, and witnesses talked about how he would move to one part. And even as we put out in our probable cause statement, the light clearly did not give him the right to go through, but he diverted and accelerated to these women who had every reason to believe in the crosswalk that they were going to be safe. You know, our sense of safety is driven by the other people will follow and follow the rules. So these women felt safe walking through the crosswalk, never imagining that somebody would intentionally move towards them at a high rate of speed and intentionally target them. And we saw that in several different scenarios, as we outlined in our probable cause statement, where this was that targeted predatory behavior.
As I look at where this was all done, largely in Salt Lake, how far and how far would you be looking? Could this have had other victims, perhaps even in Davis County, Utah County, or are you pretty confident that here in Salt Lake is where it ended?
Well, I hope that this is all there is, but out of abundance of caution, I think, as I've always said, if you believe that you're a victim of a crime, please report it. And secondly, there's no reason for these random accidents to connect that. So hopefully some of our local law enforcement agencies will maybe go back to some of those hit and runs and to put a pair of fresh eyes to that, and to see if there are other cases that might be connected. So this aspect of the investigation is still ongoing. We encourage people to report and reach out to local law enforcement, and then we encourage local law enforcement to go back at least the last 6 months or 12 months to maybe scrub some of their old reports of hit and runs as well.
So Sam, we've got about 30 seconds left here. It looked like he consistently, allegedly, used a white Toyota Avalon in each of these crimes that you've accused him of committing. Obviously, he didn't switch cars, so it doesn't seem like. So is that what people should be thinking about if they have a friend or something like that might have been involved in a hit and run?
Absolutely. I would much rather err on the side of caution. And again, these are allegations, but what we found is that, while he has some local ties, it looked like he had been living through his car. So there was a lot of stuff and materials that were found there, like he had been sort of spending a lot of time in that vehicle of his. And that really is the one piece that linked all of this together for us from multiple incidents.
Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill, thank you.
We'll have more information on this at kslnewsradio.com. And again, if you download that KSL News Radio app, you'll be able to get more details. And we'll continue to follow the case as well with our team of reporters and producers. Very happy that Salt Lake City Police Department has made an arrest, that police have been working together across the county to match the descriptions of the incidents and the car, and now they have the suspect in custody. Next, we're going to take you back live to Baltimore to get the latest on that bridge collapse where a cargo ship crashed into the bridge, sending what appeared to be cars and people into the water. A bridge is 185 feet up in the air, and it is a major, major artery.
So I used to drive every day across that bridge to and from it, and it's surreal. Like, I can't believe it's gone. Like, it was my mode of work every day. So I'm in shock.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Several teams from the U.S. Coast Guard continue their search and rescue efforts this morning for people still unaccounted for in the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge near Baltimore. ABC's Sam Sweeney reports current conditions make for a perilous operation for those rescue teams.
You have to remember that the conditions out there are rough. It is cold, it is windy, and that water temperature is roughly 47 degrees. A person can handle that for about an hour before hypothermia sets in. You have divers, you have rescuers on boats, in helicopters, swarming this area, trying to find anybody that may be hanging on to something. But this is an incredibly dangerous operation.
The bridge went down when a loaded container ship crashed into one of its main support pylons. The woman accused of killing her husband and then writing a children's book on grief is facing additional charges now for mortgage fraud, insurance fraud, and forgery. Court documents say Corey Richens submitted fake bank statements to get a mortgage loan in 2021. She's also accused of forging her husband's name on a life insurance application. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average climbing right now, 111 points up on the day. The NASDAQ is up 50. And our KSL weather, we'll still get some showers today. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Introducing Peach Doors and Windows. Are you ready to upgrade your home with stunning new doors, but you're like me and you're just overwhelmed with how to begin? Well, at Peach, experience the luxury of custom-made doors that are tailored specifically for you. It's not just about looks, it's about durability, it's about security to protect what matters most. Fiberglass, energy-efficient aluminum, custom oversized glass doors, and so much more. Let Peach help you find the perfect match for your home, budget, and of course, your personal style. Visit the showrooms. No pushy sales tactics, only guidance from their very experienced staff. No inflated markups just to offer so-called discounts. Amazing home transformations begin with windows and doors. Serving Logan all the way to St. George. Just Google Peach Building Products and see it all for yourself.
Advertising used to be simple. Your options were radio, TV, newspaper, and let's not forget the yellow pages. Now it seems like a tidal wave of options. Podcast, cable TV, streaming, OTT, CTV, audio networks, smart speakers. On top of that, you need digital marketing for your website along with SEM, SEO, display, video, YouTube, email, and all the social media platforms. Look, you're the expert in your business. Wouldn't it be nice to have an expert to market you? We are Bonneville Salt Lake, the local marketing and media company you know and trust. We reach customers across all digital and social platforms and have the reach of traditional advertising available as well. We find your customer anytime, any place, anywhere on any device here in Utah or anywhere in the world. We work to optimize your results with our in-house local team of experts, providing you with qualified leads, not just impressions. Contact Stephanie Palmer at KSL for a free consultation, including a complete digital audit with no obligation or cost to you. Email spalmer@ksl.com. That's spalmer@ksl.com.
This Monday Tax Tip is brought to you by Susan Spears, CEO of the Utah Association of CPAs.
If you haven't already funded your retirement for 2023, do so by April 15th. That's the deadline for contributing to a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. Making the deductible contribution could help you lower your tax liability this year. To qualify for the full annual IRA deduction in 23, you must either 1, not be eligible to participate in a company retirement plan, or 2, if you're eligible, your adjusted gross income must be less than $73,000 for single or head of household filers, or $129,000 or less for couples filing jointly. The maximum IRA contribution you can make is $6,500 or $7,500 if you're 50 or older. Discuss your IRA deduction options with your CPA.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a CPA. Go to uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. Listen to KSL on Monday for more tax tips from the Utah Association of CPAs.
Emergency traffic and weather together now, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, this is due to delays eastbound I-80 coming off of Parley Summit, trying to get to Kimball Junction exit. The freeway had been shut down for about 15 minutes due to a pretty bad crash. Now, they have reopened 2 left lanes of travel, but you still have the delays backed up. The right lane and shoulder remain blocked. Then we have waves of snow continuing to blanket the Wasatch Front, especially in the Salt Lake Valley. That is covering the ramps from I-215's East Belt to get into Parley's Canyon and out of it. So roads there are very slick and snow falling at the point of the mountain as well. Don't miss Park City Gallery Association's monthly gallery stroll the last Friday each month. Shop, dine, and get inspired by supporting local. Visit ParkCityGalleryAssociation.com. ParkCityGalleryAssociation.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, showers continue today. Things dry out, though, tomorrow, and then another front arrives on Thursday with clouds and a chance of rain. Right now, 39 degrees with a little snow falling in downtown Salt Lake. I'm Dan Bonas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Looking at a live picture right now of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. It is destroyed. It is a major artery through Baltimore. In fact, I was just reading a tweet from WBAL television in Baltimore, we're going to go there live in just a moment, Dave. It said that's where Francis Scott Key was inspired to write the Star-Spangled Banner. The bridge is gone.
I mean, we drove it yesterday, so it's a little shaking and hits close to heart about it since we just drove it yesterday. But my brother said there was a loud boom. My grandparents heard the loud boom from Dundalk, so it's a little crazy to think about. There's just no more Key Bridge.
And that loud boom
was the cargo ship running into one of the supports of the Key Bridge. And Debbie, as I was watching it on video, this was happening at 1:38 in the morning in Baltimore, so 11:30 our time. It was catastrophic, and within seconds of that cargo ship running into the support, it collapsed hundreds of feet of this bridge, and it just dropped into the water.
There were construction workers on that bridge overnight, plugging some potholes. We believe those are the 6 individuals that they are looking for right now in the water. That bridge just went down fast. In the 9 o'clock hour, we spoke live to ABC's Derek Dennis, who was on the scene.
ABC News confirmed this early on this morning that the container ship lost propulsion, lost power as it was nearing the bridge. And in fact, the captain was able to get in contact with the bridge, radio in saying essentially mayday, and that it had lost power and that a crash was imminent. And that's exactly what happened. And so this is an accident. No nexus to terrorism. A container ship losing power, striking a critical support column for this bridge and causing it to collapse with people on the span.
Let's take you live to WBAL in Baltimore and on the impact this has had on the community.
And certainly right now, crews are looking for those individuals. So you have the unseen that are on board and stuck on board the Dolly, which was embarking on its journey to Sri Lanka, and you have the unseen in those waters somewhere as crews continue to search for these individuals and as their families await word. Again, we know that there was a crew working on the Key Bridge, fixing potholes, doing what they've done millions of times before. And now we continue to look for them and hope that this can end better than it seems at this moment.
Yeah. And what he said about the men and women who've moved the world for us, it really puts it in perspective, because that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, absolutely,
and
absolutely.
Something telling that you're saying, when was the last time a president had something to say about something in Baltimore? We were both sitting here, and Minnie says, well, what do you think the White House is going to talk about? And I said, well, surely it's Israel in that meeting, that the Come to Jesus meeting. I said, or maybe it's Ukraine.
President Biden is expected to make comments in just the next few minutes. Actually, we expected him by now, but usually, as usual, he's late. But it's supposed to happen about 10:30 our time. Comments regarding the cargo ship barreling. It just lost propulsion. It barreled into this bridge. if there is such a thing as a silver lining in a catastrophe like this, is that the the captain was able to sound the Mayday alert, which stopped traffic. And Dave, you said you watched this video unfold. It stopped traffic and traffic light at 1:30 in the morning. But unfortunately, that pothole crew was there repairing those potholes at the time. But walk us through what you saw when you were watching that video.
Once I heard that there was a Mayday call, I was very interested because you saw in the video cars going back and forth on the bridge. So I was interested. Okay, was there a definitive moment? And it looks to be around 30 seconds before the collision, the final cars crossed the bridge. And then for 33 seconds, nothing was moving across the bridge. And that's when the impact from the cargo ship hits one of the support structures. And then 2 seconds later, after the collision, huge chunks of this bridge, the majority of this bridge, crashes catastrophically into the river. Now, you could see that there were 4 or 5 vehicles that were just sitting parked on the bridge. We think those were the construction crews. They were a pothole crew that was filling in potholes, and those went into the water. They had flashing lights, so it was very clear that they went into the water.
And that's where search crews are looking now. They're looking in the water. They believe there's 6 people. They're all considered missing, unaccounted for. 1 person now in the hospital. You know, Baltimore is 2,100 miles away from Salt Lake City. And you may be thinking, well, that is so far away. How does this impact my life? Dave's got some information on that because this is a major artery. What was it like? The governor said 11 million vehicles a year
Passed over the bridge. Yeah, 35,000 a day.
Many of them transporting supplies.
Yeah, and when reporters asked Mayor Brandon Scott about the impact, he was frustrated with that line of questioning from reporters. Here's Mayor Brandon Scott.
We shouldn't even be having that discussion right now. The discussion right now should be about the people, the souls, the lives that we're trying to save. There will be a time to discuss about a bridge and how we get a bridge back up. But right now, there are people in the water that we have to get out, and that's the only thing we should be talking about.
The water is 41 degrees, maybe as high as 48 degrees right now by some reports. It would be a recovery effort, I'm sure, at this point. But this is a port that is incredibly busy. 52.3 million tons of foreign cargo pass through this port. $80 billion worth of merchandise. This is 15,000 jobs, 140,000 port-related activities, according to CBS News. It brings $3.3 billion of personal income with salaries and jobs to this area. So while we definitely respect the rescue efforts or the recovery efforts that are going on, there are thousands and thousands of people in Baltimore whose livelihood has just been upended.
Yeah, and because we don't live there, I've been there multiple times. I don't know if there's another route for people to drive, or if they've got to drive an incredibly, long way around now. This will be going on, obviously, for many, many months as they decide what to do with the bridge. So certainly lives lost today, lives impacted forever after this incident. Understand that the cargo ship company has said that everybody on the ship survived. How did you say how fast it was going? 9 miles an hour when it crashed? Yes. It's a huge ship, too. It is massive. You can see the video, just what it did to that bridge. It turned it into toothpicks, just toothpicks, twisted metal, now laying in the water. President Biden expected to speak any moment on that Baltimore bridge collapse. The moment he steps up to the microphone, we will take you there live.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
Believe it or not, it's time for spring cleaning. Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking today. You're not the only one who's tired of winter this year. Your carpets are too, with Zero Res's platinum-rated cleaning systems and environmentally friendly ZR water. They'll extract all that nasty out so your home will look and smell like a home should, with their no residue difference. It's what separates Zero Res from the competition. Just check out the 3,300 raving customer reviews online with a 4.8 Google rating and see what the hype is all about. Right now, get one room of carpet cleaning starting at just $20.
We've got breaking news now. President Biden speaking right now on the Baltimore bridge collapse. Let's take it live.
We're our trainer by car. Been in Baltimore Harbor many times. And the bridge collapsed, sending several people and vehicles into the water, into the river. And multiple U.S. Coast Guard units, which are stationed very nearby, thank God, were immediately deployed along with local emergency personnel. And the Coast Guard is leading the response to the port, where representatives from the Federal Highway Administration, the FBI, the Department of Transportation, the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as Maryland officials and Baltimore Police and Fire, are all working together to coordinate an emergency response. Officials at the scene estimate 8 people were unaccounted for still. Not still, were unaccounted for. That number might change. 2 have been rescued. 1 without injury, 1 in critical condition. And the search and rescue operation is continuing for all those remaining as we speak. I spoke with Governor Moore this morning, as well as the Mayor of Baltimore, the county executive, both United States senators and the congressman. And my Secretary of Transportation is on the scene. I told them we're going to send all the federal resources they need as we respond to this emergency. And I mean all the federal resources. And we're going to rebuild that port together. Everything so far indicates that this was a terrible accident. At this time, we have no other indication, no other reason to believe there's any intentional act here. Personnel on board the ship were able to alert the Maryland Department of Transportation that they had lost control of their vessel, as you all know and reported. As a result, local authorities were able to close the bridge to traffic before the bridge was struck, which undoubtedly saved lives. Our prayers are with everyone involved in this terrible accident and all the families, especially those waiting for the news of their loved one right now. I know every minute in that circumstance feels like a lifetime. You just don't know. It's just terrible. We're incredibly grateful for the brave rescuers who immediately rushed to the scene and to the people of Baltimore who want to say, we're with you. We're going to stay with you as long as it takes. And like the governor said, you're Maryland tough, you're Baltimore strong, and we're going to get through this together. And I promise we're not leaving. Here's what's happening now. The search and rescue operation is our top priority. Ship traffic in the Port of Baltimore has been suspended until further notice, and we'll need to clear that channel before the ship traffic can resume. The Army Corps of Engineers is on the spot and is going to help lead this effort to clear the channel. The Port of Baltimore is one of the nation's largest shipping hubs, and I've been there a number of times as a senator and as a vice president. It handles a record amount of cargo last year. It's also the top port in America for both imports and exports of automobiles and light trucks. Around 850,000 vehicles go through that port every single year, and we're going to get it up and running again as soon as possible. 15,000 jobs depend on that port, and we're going to do everything we can to protect those jobs and help those workers. The bridge is also critical for travel, not just for Baltimore, but for the Northeast Corridor. Over 30,000 vehicles cross the Francis Scott Key Bridge on a daily basis. It's virtually, it's one of the most important elements for the economy in the Northeast and the quality of life. My transportation secretary is there now. As I told Governor Moore, I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible. And we're going to work hand in hand with the support of Maryland to support Maryland whatever they ask for. We're going to work with our partners in Congress to make sure the state gets the support it needs. It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time. The people of Baltimore can count on us, though. to stick with them at every step of the way until the port is reopened and the bridge is rebuilt. You know, we're not leaving until this job gets done. Not leaving until then. So I just want to say God bless everybody who everyone harmed this morning and their families. And may God bless the first responders, many of whom risking their lives. And the reason I'm not going to take a lot of questions, there's remaining issues that are open that we got to determine what's going to happen in terms of the rescue mission and the like. But
Do you plan to go to Baltimore, sir? And if so, how quickly?
I do, and as quickly as I can. That's what
You said the federal government's also going to pay for the repairs. I'm just curious, this was a ship that appears to be at fault. Is there any reason to believe that the company behind the ship should be held responsible? And then also, you mentioned
that could be, but we're not going to wait for that to happen. We're going to pay for it to get the bridge rebuilt and opened.
What did you make of Israel's decision not to attend this meeting this week?
Oh, I don't want to get into that. We've got plenty of time to talk about Rafah.
You mentioned the port. Can I ask about cars? About the port.
That's the President of the United States just wrapping up a quick nationwide briefing on what is going on in Baltimore. He was live at the White House talking about the bridge collapse after that cargo ship crashed into it. A couple of takeaways from his live press briefing and, of course, address to the nation. That is a major port to import vehicles into this country. He said it's 850,000 vehicles every single year, or at least last year, crossed into this country using that bridge. I think we may be seeing a major impact if they can't figure out a workaround in the near future.
And he said the Army Corps of Engineers is already on scene. They will have to clear the channel. It'll be massive amounts of debris. They're going to try to rebuild it as quickly as possible. Said that the federal government will pick up that cost, and that speaks to the 15,000 plus jobs, the workers that are in the port every day, and hopefully we'll see how long it takes to get that thing repaired.
The important situation at hand right now is finding the individuals. And as you said earlier, Dave, it looks more and more bleak that it's probably turning to more of a recovery effort. President saying that there were 8 people who went into the water, 2 were recovered, but 6 are still unaccounted for. We believe those 6 people to be the construction workers who happened to be on the bridge at 1:30 in the morning when the cargo ship crashed into it, who were filling potholes. They were doing a job that we're all so familiar with along the Wasatch Front here. We see potholes every day, and we complain when they're not filled. And here was this crew out there doing something to make the driving situation better for the 30,000 people who travel on that bridge every single day. And they may have very well lost their lives because apparently while the traffic was stopped because of that Mayday alert, it seems like maybe that message did not get to those construction workers, or they just didn't have a chance of getting off the bridge in time.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell through the video that I've watched where these workers could have been. You could see the vehicles. They had flashing lights on, warning lights that were spinning, so they were clearly working. The construction crew was, but I didn't see anybody on the bridge. I didn't see any humans or people on there. It was too far of a shot, so I don't know if they were in their vehicles or if they were just on the bridge, if they were trying to get out, but clearly they've got 6 still missing.
They have come out and said it does appear to be an accident. ABC News joined us live early in the show saying that the ship itself, this massive cargo ship, had lost propulsion power and wasn't able to steer. So it ends up basically floating into the bridge, but it's going at 9 miles an hour, and it's so massive that it undercuts the bridge and the entire thing collapses.
And you could see in the video, Debbie, as it's about 7 minutes long, the video that has been released, it was a live feed, and you can see the path that the cargo ship was taking. I don't know at what point they lost power, but you could see over this 7 minutes, that it was heading, through the passageway. It travels underneath the bridge, and as it's kind of looping around, just before maybe a minute, 30 seconds before the collision, you see the lights on the cargo ship turning off and on, almost like it was a power outage or they were trying to restart, but you could see the lights on the cargo ship flickering on and off.
The mayor had said earlier in the day when he was holding his own news briefing that it was this Mayday alert that was sent out by the captain of the ship, it actually saved lives. He said there's no doubt that the captain was able to get out the message to let folks at the Baltimore Department of Transportation, or Maryland Department of Transportation, excuse me, it's MDOT, alert drivers that close the bridge to cars.
But we're thankful that between the Mayday and the collapse that we had officials who were able to begin to stop the flow of traffic, so more cars were not up on the bridge.
And I don't know exactly how they were able to stop the flow of traffic. I'm not familiar with this bridge, and I don't know if there were
arms coming down
that prevent.
Thank goodness. Or whatever alert they had in place. So you said you actually saw cars in the video stop, like the traffic stopped.
Yeah, very much so. When I heard first about the Mayday call, I was curious to see, okay, can you see in the video the final cars that are moving, or any cars that have, and about 35 seconds before the collision, you see the final two cars crossing the bridge. And then, like I said, 30 seconds later was when the cargo ship impacts with the support structure. And then 2 seconds after the impact, that's when everything collapses.
Let's go back live right now to Baltimore and WBAL television, which is covering it all morning long.
But they're going to talk about the investigation in this case, of course, locally, but nationally. There's going to be an investigation into what exactly happened here with this collision. Now, the latest that we got was a press conference with Governor Moore. He had a message for all those involved, all the families involved. Take a listen.
To the victims of this tragedy and their loved ones, all of our hearts are broken. We feel your loss. We're thinking of you, and we will always be thinking of you. We pray for the construction workers who are on the Key Bridge, and we pray for everyone who has been touched by this tragedy, and their families, and all of their loved ones. But Maryland, we will get through this, because that is the Maryland spirit, and that's what Maryland is made of. We are Maryland tough, and we are Baltimore strong.
This is the 9th busiest port in the United States, a top port for U.S. sugar, gypsum. You even had some of the numbers as far as vehicles as well.
850,000 vehicles, according to the president, imported every year through that port on the Francis Scott Key Bridge. President promising all resources, every resource being thrown at rebuilding that bridge. But as we know, it'll take time.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, at least 6 people still missing after a large container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, sent the roadway crashing into Baltimore Harbor overnight. ABC's Derek Dennis reports.
collapsing overnight after a container ship lost power and rammed a support column, sending the steel span twisting and falling into the river, taking a pothole repair crew, cars and trucks down with it. Maryland Governor Wes Moore acknowledging the structural loss.
This is going to be a long-term build. It's going to be a build that's going to require every facet and every aspect of our society.
Derek Dennis, ABC News, Baltimore.
Coast Guard crews still searching in the cold water for cars that may have gone in when the bridge came down. Here in Utah, the Point of the Mountain State Land Authority can now collect sales tax and buy hundreds of acres of land that was off limits before. This is because of a bill signed by Governor Spencer Cox. The Salt Lake Tribune reports the final deal gives the group half the sales tax of future businesses in the area until it's paid its debts. KSL-TV reports the legislature has already invested $165 million in the Point development before the last session, which it wants back with interest. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day right now, 92 points. The NASDAQ is up about 26. And our KSL weather, tomorrow will dry out a bit. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Sneezing, coughing, stuffy nose, runny nose, postnasal drip, interrupted sleeping. I was groggy at the end of the day.
Allergies and sinus congestion were making Jana miserable. Then, a friend recommended Navage. Navage provides immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I'm proud to tell you we don't lay off employees when things get tough. During the pandemic, we didn't let one of our installers go. Instead, we had them clean and remodel our offices so they could still get paid. Remember the 2008 housing crisis? It was a financial nightmare for even the biggest contractors. Still, we didn't lay off a single worker. Nope, we sacrificed profits to keep paying everyone. Look, when the economy's down, most contractors are quick to lay off their workers. It's the easiest way to save money when times get tight. But at RGS Exteriors, we're loyal to our people. You know why? Because it's the right thing to do. People first, people always. That's the RGS way. For gutters, siding, windows, and more, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com, 801-280-3110.
Hey guys, meet Salt Lake City's favorite men's health expert.
Hi, I'm Eric Ramos, healthcare provider at Revive Men's Health. I've been treating men suffering from low T and ED for over 5 years. And before that, I was a combat medic in the Army and a Navy corpsman in the Marine Corps, responsible for my men and their health every day. I understand firsthand the health challenges that impact men. Many of my patients come to me because they've noticed a lack of energy, loss of strength, increased belly fat, and even depression. Low T can impact your whole life, but so can proper treatment of it. And hearing that my patients are back to living life to the fullest, that's the best part of my job.
Guys, if you're looking for affordable, guaranteed low T and ED solutions, contact Revive for a free T-check and exam today, saving you $199. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We are looking a lot better in Parley's Canyon. The cleanup of the earlier crash eastbound I-80 at Kimball Junction continues. It's over to the right. You may see a little bit of backup. We also have a new accident, and this is going to be eastbound I-80 at Foothill, Parley's Way. That's been moved over to the shoulder. Cleanup also of the crash northbound on the East Belt at 4500 south on the right, and restrictions in place for Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons. Zero Res, get one room clean starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum and 25% off all other services. Use promo code CLEANWEEK. Zero Res. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Our KSL weather, showers continue today, but things dry out tomorrow. Then another front arrives on Thursday with clouds and a chance of rain. And right now, 41 degrees, it's cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
This is a big story this morning on Utah's Morning News. It's still developing. We're trying to learn more information about it regarding the NCAA, the University of Utah women's basketball team, and the coach saying the team went to Gonzaga University in Spokane, where the Utes became victims of hate crimes, and that things got so bad, Dave, that they had to switch hotels. Now, keep in mind, they were staying about 35, 40 minutes away outside of Spokane in Coeur d'Alene. Here's the coach. She's speaking out about it.
You know, we had several instances of some kind of racial hate crimes towards our program, and incredibly upsetting for all of us.
What was so odd to me, Debbie, is that they left their hotel. They moved from their hotel. That is very, very unique for a team to pack up and go move somewhere else. Now, there are awful, terrible, racist things that happen at basketball games and slurs that get hurled at players. That happens. That's fairly common. The fact that this is happening, it sounds like it was happening at the hotel.
Let's get more information from KSL News Radio. It was Adam Small, who has some of those details, Dave.
Well, last night's game happened in Spokane. The Lady Utes were initially assigned a hotel in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, about 35 minutes away. KSL.com reports on Thursday the team was headed out for dinner. While they were walking into the restaurant, they say a truck pulled up to them and someone in it shouted the N-word at them. On their way out just hours later, they say 2 trucks pulled up this time and someone again shouted that slur. Utah head coach Lynn Roberts called it a distraction and upsetting.
This should be a joyous time for our program. And to have kind of a black eye on that experience is unfortunate.
Gonzaga and the NCAA did help them get a new hotel in Spokane. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Greg Skordas, our legal analyst, live on the line. Coach is speaking out about it. I don't know what the NCAA plans to do about it, if anything. But I think the first question is there's still a lot of details we don't know about this, but what does rise to the level that could be considered a hate crime?
Well, this certainly does, Debbie, from what we've heard about it. I mean, the use of the N-word all by itself is about as derogatory as you could imagine, and it clearly outlines what the person who shouted it was trying to say, and that was to express hate and contempt towards some people because of their color. So you would hope that the authorities there in northern Idaho, where they were living or staying at the time and outside of Coeur d'Alene, would look at this as a hate crime, whether it's a disorderly conduct or disturbing the peace or something similar that Idaho would have in its criminal code, and enhance it by a hate crime because of the way it was uttered. And actually, they came back out of I think they had dinner or something. When they came out, there were 2 trucks that approached them, and the same words were uttered. So hopefully somebody got a license plate or an identification or something, and authorities there can look into this as what it is, which is clearly a hate crime.
Greg, as I've been doing some research, this is an area, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, that is infamous for having Aryan Nation, white supremacist groups that are around and in and around this. Does it change if you can tie some of this hate speech to one of these groups, the Aryan Nation or white nationalist groups?
Probably not, but that's an interesting question, and it's a fair question. It would be interesting, I think, to know who uttered these words and if they got the license plate or some identification, and if so, if they could associate those individuals with groups that are associated with hate, with white supremacy or something like that. And maybe you could go into the groups themselves and try to learn more about them and what they're indoctrinating their people to say and do. But no, I think this is really focused on the individuals who made the statements, and hopefully somebody will figure out who they are.
Well, at this point, I'm not aware that we do know who they are, and so or if police are actually investigating it there, and that's what this would take. I mean, the coach herself, the University of Utah women's basketball coach, has been speaking out about it.
We had several instances of some kind of racial hate crimes towards our program, and incredibly upsetting for all of us.
And the idea that they've felt, at least in my view, so unsafe by what was going on, they had to change hotel rooms, is just, it's scary. It's sad, and I'm glad they did. It's also odd to me, Greg, I don't expect our legal analysts to be able to figure out why in the world were they staying in Coeur d'Alene when it's 35 minutes away from Spokane? I mean, maybe, Dave, you have some better thoughts on that, being a former sports producer.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a booking issue. These are large groups. It's a tournament, so trying to fit everybody in
the same city.
Spokane, Washington is very difficult. So sometimes you'll have to travel 30 minutes.
So where does this go from here, Greg, in your view?
I think police have to investigate this, Debbie, and while they may not have suspects right now, with the amount of video surveillance that's happening right now in parking lots, individuals with their cameras and whatnot, I would think that the police would be able to find some leads and some individuals for which this group of basketball players could make an identification. The police have to investigate this. They can't just leave it alone, because it's a black eye on the NCAA. It's a black eye on the good people of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And it was a tragic thing because these kids are up there playing in a tournament that's probably one of the really coolest things they've ever done in their lives. I mean, it's the NCAA basketball tournament. People just go nuts over that. They'd won their first game. They're playing the host, Gonzaga, and then they have to deal with that. So, yeah, I mean, you would hope that the authorities there would take this as seriously as we all are and find somebody and find out who did this.
Greg Skordas, thank you for joining us, our KSL legal analyst. And Debbie, Gonzaga sent a statement, released a statement that really, even though they weren't directly to blame, it doesn't sound like it was their fans. They were the host city. So they did release a statement that said, "We worked hard to secure the opportunity to serve as the host institution, and our first priority must be the safety of our student athletes."
We'll certainly keep you posted on what happens as the University of Utah's head basketball coach for the women's basketball team has been speaking out about what happened when the team went up to the tournament in Spokane, Washington.
We had several instances of some kind of racial hate crimes towards our program.
And she was the first one to identify
incredibly
those
upsetting
which she considered
for all
to
of
be
us.
hate crimes. And our KSL legal analyst, Greg Skordas, did not hesitate. He said, "Yep, this qualifies for that, for a hate crime, and that the next step would be that law enforcement would investigate. We'll find out if they are."
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Let me tell you guys a little bit about my last couple of months. I've been working with Salt Lake City Fat Loss to, lose some fat. It's that simple. They said I could lose a pound of fat every single day. And I thought that was super optimistic, but sure enough, that's almost exactly what I lost. In 60 days, I lost 57 pounds, and I feel fantastic. It was great. I just ate my first cookie in a while, so that was great as well. But I've learned some skills from Salt Lake City Fat Loss where I can keep this weight off, and I'm as confident as I've ever been. Everyone's done the yo-yo thing, I'm sure. So I'll keep you up to date, see how things are going. But I lost those 57 pounds safely and naturally. No surgery, no injections, no point counting, no exercising, and no prepackaged meals. If you're interested, get your free consultation by going to slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
The GOP speaker is getting weaker. Hopefully, somebody will step forward and lead. Does a new vote against Mike Johnson throw the U.S. House in turmoil again?
Everyone is unserious about having a serious conversation about the finances in this country.
Listen this week as Johnson navigates Republican discontent. Get the latest on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson this week from 1 to 3
on KSL News Radio.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Advertising used to be simple. Your options were radio, TV, newspaper, and let's not forget the yellow pages. Now it seems like a tidal wave of options. Podcast, cable TV, streaming, OTT, CTV, audio networks, smart speakers. On top of that, you need digital marketing for your website along with SEM, SEO, display, video, YouTube, email, and all the social media platforms. Look, you're the expert in your business. Wouldn't it be nice to have an expert to market you? We are Bonneville Salt Lake, the local marketing and media company you know and trust. We reach customers across all digital and social platforms and have the reach of traditional advertising available as well. We find your customer anytime, any place, anywhere on any device here in Utah or anywhere in the world. We work to optimize your results with our in-house local team of experts, providing you with qualified leads, not just impressions. Contact Stephanie Palmer at KSL for a free consultation, including a complete digital audit with no obligation or cost to you. Email spalmer@ksl.com. That's spalmer@ksl.com. Utah's strong winds can cause huge damage to your roof that you can't see. Your roof might need repair. Don't wait for a disaster. Call the Masters at Master Roofing for an honest inspection at 801-383-0072. Specializing in small repairs, Master Roofing handles everything from patching holes to full roof replacements. Schedule your free assessment at masterroofingutah.com.
Get up to a 20% bonus and up to 12% per year guaranteed for your retirement income. These guarantees are too good to pass up and can give you lifelong income security. Up to 20% up front just for opening an account and up to 12% per year guaranteed. Call Trajan Wealth today. 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600. Or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Call Window World of Utah today for the best value in windows and doors, and that's no baloney.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, the governor of Maryland says rebuilding the Francis Scott Key Bridge will take all the state's commitment and resources. Second, the Point of the Mountain Authority now has some new taxing ability and other powers to help redevelop the site of the old prison. And third, the state auditor says Utah's state government depends way too much on federal funds. 41 degrees and cloudy right now. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We're going to take News Nation live in just a moment. We're going to actually get them on the air live. Kelly Meyer is standing by for us in the Baltimore area. Oh, I'm just watching replay video of that bridge collapse on News Nation's live feed there, and
it's horrific. It's hard to watch.
That was the first word that came to my mind this morning when I was watching that unfold. Of course, after the fact, because it happened at 1:30 in the morning. Horrific. That slow-moving cargo ship, which was moving at 9 miles an hour, and you said you just did a little bit of research, and you tried to figure out how long it would take a cargo ship to come to a halt going 9 miles an hour, and it sounds like it was just an impossible situation.
Yeah, and it sounds like the captain of the ship had released a Mayday distress call, had announced that there's a real possibility that they were going to run into the bridge. They were able to shut down somehow, and perhaps Kelly can explain that for us a little bit of how they were able to shut down traffic on that bridge, because from what I could see on the video, 2 cars left the end of the bridge about 30 seconds before the collision. As soon as the collision happened, as soon as the cargo ship hits the bridge, it collapses in a matter of seconds, just 2 seconds. The bridge, huge portions, just collapse. But there were still a construction crew, a road crew that were fixing potholes that were on the bridge, and they are still searching for those individuals.
Just a few moments ago, we carried the president's address from the White House live. He talked about the nationwide importance of this bridge.
It's also the top port in America for both imports and exports of automobiles and light trucks. Around 850,000 vehicles go through that port every single year. And we're going to get it up and running again as soon as possible. 15,000 jobs depend on that port. And we're going to do everything we can to protect those jobs and help those workers.
News Nation's Kelly Meyer joins us right now from the White House. Kelly, the president just spoke, made some bold statements, said, we will pay for this bridge. We're not going to wait for anybody else to come in or to make it right. We're going to get this bridge taken care of as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you heard the president coming out here moments ago. We're here at the White House, and he delivered these remarks really impromptu before he was set to head out to North Carolina for a previously planned official event and then a campaign reception. And he made sure to come out to talk about just how his administration is responding to this. He talked about who he has spoken to so far, his transportation secretary on the ground there, Pete Buttigieg. He spoke to Governor Westmore of Maryland, as well as Baltimore's Mayor Scott. He talked about being briefed this morning and bringing together senior members of his team to talk about the ongoing response. He promised the people of Baltimore that he would be there with them through this and stand by them. And he said he also wants to get there as soon as he can. He's still planning to go to North Carolina this afternoon for that planned event, but he is saying that he hopes to get there as soon as he can and to help them get this rebuilt as soon as humanly possible, he says.
News Nation's Kelly Meyer live with us right now, live from the White House, where the president just addressed the nation, also answered a couple of reporter questions that were thrown at him at the end of this briefing regarding this terrible situation, this cargo ship crashing into a bridge in Baltimore, and the bridge totally it's in the water now. It is just a tangled mess of metal. And Kelly, the president did indicate that there doesn't seem to be any nexus to terrorism, that this is just a horrible accident.
Right. From what he has said of what they know so far in this investigation is that this was and appears to be an accident. They have no indication that it was anything nefarious at this point. We've heard that from White House officials, from the president, as well as from the Department of Homeland Security. Of course, there'll be an investigation underway to what exactly happened here, but they feel as though this was just an accident. But the president did touch on the economic impact as well as the impact on travelers, just how many people cross and use that bridge every day. He talked about being there multiple times himself as a senator and a vice president, so he knows it well. He was in touch with the senators from Maryland on this and just pledging the full support of the federal government. He said the federal government will pay for this bridge to be rebuilt, and he expects Congress to support that request, and he plans to be there with them throughout this process.
It seems that this Mayday distress call that was made shut down at least much of the traffic that was crossing the bridge at 1:38 in the morning. Do we have any idea of what took place, or are there gates that dropped down? Was there an officer, somebody stopping? Do we have any of that information?
It sounds like from the reports, and I think what the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, was saying in his press conference was that those on the ship alerted authorities at the bridge, and they were able to stop folks from continuing to go over the bridge in their vehicles. And he said that had saved lives, most certainly saved people's lives. And then for the folks that were already on the bridge, of course, it did send some vehicles plunging into the water, and that's what you're seeing the search and rescue crews doing now, trying to make sure that they can save those lives as quickly as possible.
Kelly, thank you so much. Kelly Meyer live for us with News Nation at the White House, where the president just wrapped up remarks just a few moments ago all about this bridge collapse in Baltimore.
Transportation Secretary is there now. As I told Governor Moore, I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible. And we're going to work hand in hand with the support of Maryland to support Maryland whatever they ask for. We're going to work with our partners in Congress to make sure the state gets the support it needs. It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge.
And Debbie, I think that's a very important part of this, is that the funding will be in place. Now, that depends on what Congress is able to get done. This can be the plan of the White House, but the purse strings are Congress, and they'll have to figure out whether or not they're going to fund this.
And you may be asking yourself one of the questions that the president was asked by a reporter after he wrapped up his remarks to the nation regarding this bridge and the cargo ship that crashed into it. This cargo ship appears to be privately owned. Won't the private company be on the hook for this? And the president indicated, and not exactly these words, that is a discussion that we're going to have down the road. But for right now, we need to get on this because this is such an important bridge for transportation. I mean, it was like hundreds of thousands of cars are imported into America over this bridge, and so many other things as well, that it is a critical transportation hub for cars, for travelers, for imports, that we've got to get this fixed.
Sugar, it's the number one
sugar
import for sugar, gypsum. So I believe that is like drywall. This is 15,000 jobs that the port employs. So this is billions of dollars, $3.3 billion of economic impact, jobs, salaries that is affected by this port.
Speaking of jobs and salaries, let's go back live now to WBAL television. They've been broadcasting live wall-to-wall all morning long. They're now speaking specifically about the local community impact of this bridge collapse. Let's listen in.
The thought of this can't be right.
Yeah.
This can't be happening.
Right.
And we've also talked about how this is our moment of time geographically, but this has such an impact all over the country, all over the world. This is one of the largest ports in the country, and the goods and services and how long that's going to take to even somewhat get back to normal is just a lot to take in, and we're going to have to, I guess, see how this all plays out. But certainly, I don't think it's an exaggeration to know that this is going to be years.
Yeah,
probably.
and I think even President Biden mentioned 850,000 vehicles go through the port just every year. So the impact not only on us in Baltimore, but really the whole country as goods, different products come through the port. I mean, it is just all at a halt now.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be talking about things like supply chain.
That's WBAL Television's live coverage, wall-to-wall coverage of the bridge collapse right in their own neighborhood there. This happened at 1:30 this morning. Captain sent out a mayday that the cargo ship that he was in charge of had lost power, lost control, and they were floating at 8-9 miles an hour into the bridge, and thankfully they were able to stop traffic on the bridge, and so not as many cars would have, a lot more cars would have been on that bridge. It was also a time of day where not a lot of people are traveling that bridge. 30,000 cars a day do use that bridge. So this, unfortunately, though, they are still looking for 6 individuals who are missing, believed to all be construction workers on that pothole repair team that would happen to be, unfortunately, just horrible timing on the bridge repairing potholes overnight in Baltimore.
The NTSB plans on giving an update on the Baltimore bridge collapse. We'll keep our eyes on this. We have producers and reporters, and of course, we are following this very closely.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. It appears a problem with the power aboard a cargo ship may have caused the catastrophic crash and bridge collapse today in Baltimore. ABC's Andy Field tells us now the FBI is investigating.
There's no indication anyone was impaired or deliberately drove a cargo ship into the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Still, the FBI must check.
I want to be clear that there is no specific or credible information to suggest that there are ties to terrorism in this incident.
Baltimore's FBI Special Agent in Charge Bill Del Bagno says the agency looks into all major disasters to be certain they were not deliberate. Andy Field, ABC News.
More than a quarter of the $34 billion spent by Utah's state government every year comes from the federal government. State Auditor John Dougal says depending on federal money, though, is a bad habit. His new audit says depending on a single source is a problem when he says it's dysfunctional. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day 89 points. The NASDAQ is up 44. And on the way, we'll be looking at weather. Tomorrow should be dry. Another storm front after that. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
A lot can happen between falling in love with a house online and owning it, between imagining living there and breathing in your new home for the first time. Having an advocate who can help you navigate the complex world of financing, inspections, negotiating, analyzing the market, and talking through any anxieties that may pop up, that can make all the difference. That's what the expertise of a Realtor can do for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and bound by a code of ethics, because that's who we are.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Heard the catchphrase that's sweeping the nation?
Jackson, Hugh, yeah.
People are saying Jackson Hugh yeah to Jackson Hewitt because they love saving money on tax prep. Do you love saving money? Then switch to Jackson Hewitt today and pay less than last year. Thousands of people have already made the switch. Why haven't you? Stop waiting and start filing. You won't get a better deal or a better catchphrase. All together now.
Jackson Hugh, yeah!
Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hey, have you saved more than $200,000 in an IRA or 401k? You may not realize it now, but you've got a big problem on your hands. And that problem is taxes. Because if you don't take advantage of some tax planning strategies now, Uncle Sam could take a big chunk of your hard-earned retirement savings. Learn how you could reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k with a free retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000, schedule your free tax strategy session now by calling 896-9622. Discover the tax planning strategies that could dramatically reduce your taxes in retirement. Call 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
2 new crashes in Parley's Canyon on westbound I-80. One is at the Lambs Canyon on-ramp, and another is about a mile prior to Lambs Canyon over to the shoulder. For fabulous food, atmosphere, and tradition, visit Five All's Restaurant. Five All's offers memorable dining experiences for any occasion. Birthdays, anniversaries, proms, graduation, engagement, and more. Visit fivealls.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And our KSL weather, showers continue today, but things dry out tomorrow. Another front arrives on Thursday with clouds and a chance of rain. And right now we're at 41 degrees. It's cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We are going to return to our live coverage of the Baltimore bridge collapse in just a few moments, and we'll also be joined by a former dive team member of Utah Highway Patrol's dive team. I didn't realize that the Department of Public Safety does have this dive team. Major Jeff Nyberg will be joining us in just a few moments, and we're hoping that he can walk us through just the delicate situation that is going on right now in Baltimore after that major bridge collapse when a cargo ship crashed into it. And unfortunately, the timing was just horrible for these construction workers who were on that bridge just plugging potholes. They were working to just fix the road, and word got to the Maryland Department of Transportation. They were able to shut down the bridge to traffic through a Mayday alert from the cargo ship's captain. And all it looked like, you said, Dave, all the cars had gotten off the bridge. At least the commuter cars had gotten off the bridge. But perhaps those construction workers were not able, either they didn't get word or they weren't able to make it off the bridge in time.
And it's an eerie sight right now because the cargo ship is still in place. It is still underneath the bridge, and the bridge has collapsed over the bow of the ship, and it's just propped there.
Another story that we're going to talk about just for just a few minutes is something we're just getting more information on thanks to an incident report that's been posted about this Delta flight that took off on Sunday. Looks like it departed Salt Lake International Airport Sunday on its way to Amsterdam, dropping an engine panel on departure. But unfortunately for the crew and the passengers on board that flight, it was heading to Amsterdam, they didn't turn around until they got to the Canadian border to come back and pick the thing up.
Yes, and from what we could see in the pictures we've seen, it was on the wings. So the engine on the wing, it was kind of on the outside. It looks like the panel was clearly off, and they found it on the runway. And once they located it, they realized, according to passengers on that plane, that they just didn't have enough fuel to get across.
Is that what was happening? They have 75 minutes into the flight when the crew was informed that they had lost this engine panel. And so they turn around and they come back, and they land safely back at Salt Lake International about 2 hours and 45 minutes after departure. So obviously a very serious delay, but obviously the crew also felt it was a serious enough situation to turn around and hightail it back to Salt Lake City and put this thing back on the plane. But the aircraft, according to the report I'm reading, was still on the ground in Salt Lake City about 15 hours after landing. There's been, now this, my understanding is this was an Airbus.
Yes.
So different.
Because all the problems have been with Boeing.
Different from Boeing. But there's some new research out that says, thanks, Boeing, because of Boeing and what's been going on with Boeing, half of Gen Zers. Who is that? Is that my age group? Am I a Gen Zer? No, I'm not that young.
You're Gen Xer. Just like me.
We're afraid to, half of Gen Zers, I don't know why they just asked the Gen Zers.
Gen Z, millennial, Gen Z. So 18, 25, somewhere around there.
Do you want to come and jump on the microphone, Caitlin? Caitlin's talking in my ear, and I didn't catch everything she was saying about this, so she's going to join us. Our producer's been doing a lot of research on this. Half of Gen Zers are afraid to fly after Boeing issues.
Now, remember, the Boeing issue was mid-flight. There was a panel on the airplane that ripped off, and it was kind of the size of an emergency door. That huge panel blows off. Fortunately, every passenger is still buckled at this point.
And nobody was sitting by that spot.
Oddly enough, no one is sitting right next to that.
Thank goodness.
And anyway, like phones got sucked out as it depressurized the cabin immediately, but no human, which is just amazing, got sucked out of that, and they were able to land safely. So, and we saw video of it. We saw video of this. People were recording this. So that has caused some fear. We know about the Boeing crashes as well the past couple of years. So this is something that has caused Gen Z to be too nervous to fly.
So often during the show, I'm fortunate enough to have Caitlin Johnston, our producer, in our ear. I know she's in your ear from time to time too, Dave, but she just got in my ear and you were saying something that sounded really, really important, and I couldn't catch it all.
Well,
so
there
put
was
it in context for
There
us.
was one study that I found when we were looking into this about Gen Z, and that was 50% are afraid of flying, and it also highlighted women as being in that, like 40%. I can't remember the exact number. It was a big study, but as I was looking into it, there were multiple articles that said flyers overall are just nervous about this, and they're turning to anxiety meds and meditation and just doing all these coping mechanisms just because, and changing their flights last minute. So outside of that study specifically to Gen Z, there's just, I think a lot of people are very afraid of this.
And
it was overwhelming how many articles I was reading about it. So.
And your research showed that it's a lot of women who are
that's the
nervous
same
about this.
study regarding the Gen Z said women as well. It was about 40-something percent.
So I've been in a lot of. I a pilot who flies planes every single day probably wouldn't call them close calls, but I've felt like I've been in a number of very harrowing situations, both on planes and in helicopters over the years, and I've talked about some of those on the show. And it's like, I don't want to become so crippled with anxiety, and I do suffer from anxiety. I don't have a huge bout of it going on right now, but I had about 10 years of crippling anxiety that would just grab my rib cage and be there. It would happen during our show. I think sometimes I would tell you I have anxiety. You're like, you don't even know it, Deb. You don't even know it. So you just push through it. So I know I can succumb to these anxious concerns. And anxiety is always, it really is, in a nutshell, fear of the unknown. Right? That's what it's based on, fear of the unknown. So I've had to kind of mentally walk myself through getting back on a helicopter after a couple of close calls I've had. A couple of them, I'd call them emergency landings. And also a couple of flights. I mean, one time we took off from the Salt Lake International Airport. I don't want the Salt Lake International Airport to come after me for this. This was many years ago. This was in the 90s. And there was a big poof of flames on the wing. I mean, it just poof. And it turns out, I think they said, they're burning off extra fuel. Well, who feels good about that? We've come back for different reasons as well. Had to hightail it back to the airport. So sometimes we just draw the short straw. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I've never had a close call. My dad lost an engine one time.
Oh, yikes.
They had to have an emergency landing. But I guess the way I look at it is, statistically speaking, air travel is the safest travel. We take far more risk getting in and behind our wheel, getting in our car every day.
So I'm going to say something. I hope it's not controversial when I say this at all. But I do what a lot of people are doing, according to your research here, Caitlin, and I turn to prayer. And I just put it in God's hands. I put it in God's hands. I'm like, look, this is going to end well. It's going to be a great flight. And so often, 99.9% of the time, because we don't report on the great, amazing landings that happen every single day in this world with airplanes.
I have a mantra that I do every time I take a flight, because I do get nervous without these Boeing issues. I just say in my head, I close my eyes, I say, safe flight, smooth flight. Safe flight, smooth flight. I say it as we take off, and then once we're in the air, I'm fine. It doesn't matter.
We once dropped so far over Mexico when I was flying down there for a news story back in 1994. I've never forgotten that feeling of we were just free falling. I don't remember what plane we were flying on. It was a commercial aircraft. It was a big plane. And all of a sudden, it was like, the skies opened up and the angels came down and they just grabbed the plane and just smoothed us out and all was fine. But I don't even want to know how far we dropped. But just remember, 99.999% of the time, things do end fine. But that's not to say that these incidents aren't a big deal. They do need to be investigated. The federal government has got to get to the bottom of what is going on with Boeing. We don't know all the specifics of what happened the other night at the Salt Lake International Airport involving that Delta flight, but I'm certain authorities are going to figure it all out, and it sounds like that plane, when it did have to return on its journey to Amsterdam, when it got to the Canadian border and it flew back to Salt Lake City, that all ended well.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Believe it or not, it's time for spring cleaning. Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking today. You're not the only one who's tired of winter this year. Your carpets are too. With Zero Res's platinum-rated cleaning systems and environmentally friendly ZR water, they'll extract all that nasty out so your home will look and smell like a home should, with their no residue difference. It's what separates Zero Res from the competition. Just check out the 3,300 raving customer reviews online with a 4.8 Google rating and see what the hype is all about. Right now, get one room of carpet cleaning starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum. And also take 25% off all other services like air ducts, tile, upholstery, and rugs by using promo code CLEANWEEK to celebrate Utah's Cleaning Week. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res right now, 801-288-9376. Or go online to ZeroRes.com and say you want the Clean Week special. Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Offices in Midvale and Clearfield. 1412 South Legend Hills Drive, Suite 200, Clearfield, Utah, 84015. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I'm what you might call very good at hide and seek. This one time, my parents had to round up the whole neighborhood to track me down. It was a mess. A lot of tears. Well, now that we got Xfinity, we have Wi-Fi all over the house, including all my favorite super secret hiding spots. So I can kill time in here by streaming my shows and...
Ha! Found ya.
The heck? How?
You left Find My tablet on.
This generation, ruining the game with their performance enhancers.
Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through June 21st, get gig speed internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless plan and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Gig speed Wi-Fi requires gig internet and Xfinity Gateway. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
This
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. When it comes to the world of networking, a picture can literally be worth 1,000 words. That's why Score Headshots works to provide top-notch photography services to Salt Lake City's business community. Director and lead photographer Natalie Cass joins us with more.
I have been the director of Score Headshots for over 17 years, and my purpose is simple: to collaborate with people, help them grow by creating mindful media that expands their reach, supports their cause, and makes an impact. I have photographed hundreds of thousands of people across my career, so I understand lighting, body language, and micro-expressions at an expert level. The majority of people in professional fields use LinkedIn, where a high-quality business headshot can enhance your image and convey confidence. At Score Headshots, we work to elevate your professional social media presence with our personalized headshot services. Our team knows that having your photo taken is a vulnerable experience. We will coach you through the process, make it fun and a simple experience. Whatever your headshot needs, we have the ability to achieve your vision. Get started at saltlakeheadshot.photos.
Whether you're looking to update your LinkedIn profile with a new headshot or capture professional images for your entire team, Score Headshots is committed to delivering the perfect result. Learn more at their website. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, the FBI is investigating the bridge collapse in Baltimore, even though there's no indication of terrorism. Second, the state auditor says Utah has a bad habit, spending federal money that it can't depend on. And third, with Easter coming up, the price of eggs rising across the country. Right now, 43 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
What's going on right now in Baltimore, Maryland is just absolutely, it's been a horrific morning there. It started at about 1:30 this morning when a cargo ship crashed into a major bridge. It's the Francis Scott Key Bridge there in Baltimore. The bridge collapsed. It is twisted metal. It takes on 30,000 cars a day. It is a major transportation port for supplies and new automobiles to the United States. And the issue at hand right now that we want to focus on with a former diver for the state's dive team, Major Jeff Nyberg, is what is going on in those waters. Because remind me, at last, I think it was 6 who are still missing. Two other people recovered. One in the hospital. One didn't make it.
No, I think it's one in the hospital. Another refused care.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they've found anybody deceased. Yes, there's a lot of different reports going on. We're trying to catch up to them, but it was shocking to me because this was not just a section of the bridge. This was the majority of the bridge, and this bridge is hundreds of feet long. It's hard to tell from the video, Debbie, the scope and the size, because the cargo ship had hundreds of huge shipping containers on it. How high was the bridge, did you say?
185 feet above the ground.
It's 185 feet, and then you see it drop down. And I can't imagine how anyone could possibly survive that collapse. But they are searching right now, and they've got people, the dive team, that are trying to rescue. They're still calling it a rescue, not a recovery.
Major Nyberg live on the phone with us. Good morning, Jeff. I just want to play this audio clip from CNN, just providing analysis of the dangers there in the waters in Baltimore. And then we want to get your analysis as well.
Once they enter the water, it's very precarious. It's very dangerous for the personnel that are in and around the water. The divers are having a difficult time because of the currents and because of the wind, and because of the light when the incident first occurred. And the fact that because of the currents, you have a lot of drifting of the boats and drifting of the lines and so forth. So it's going to be a very dangerous and a very time-consuming job for the first responders.
Now, Major Nyberg, you served formerly on the dive team with Utah Highway Patrol. Just give us an idea of the complexity of what is going on with an underwater search like this.
Yeah, underwater recoveries are, just like you said, extremely dangerous. You never know what to expect. And where this is kind of a current water, like whether it be a river, not a kind of just a body of water that's not moving, it becomes very, very difficult to actually search. It can carry victims miles away. It can do a lot of things. And you're diving under the water. It's extremely dark. It's extremely turbid. You can't see anything. There are capabilities out there such as sonar that can kind of see through that and give you a general idea of what's on the bottom or what you could potentially encounter as a diver. But it's just an extremely dangerous situation and just an environment that, we as human beings shouldn't be in. So know very well kind of what those divers are going through, having gone through it several times here in the state of Utah on different recoveries.
You're also dealing with this massive bridge and the debris, millions of tons, I would imagine, of debris that is in the water and twisted shaped metal and concrete.
Right. Yeah, that's probably the biggest hazard for being a diver underwater is what can I get snagged on, what can I get entangled in, what can I get trapped under, and to be able to have to search through that and be able to deal with that, like you guys said, that's just a huge complexity to the search and whatnot. It's just an extremely difficult challenge.
We think the water temperature is maybe in the high 40s at best. Walk us through how long, as a former dive team member, how long can you stay in that water? Diving in that kind of water, first and foremost, as far as the cold go, there are dry suits where you can layer up underneath and actually have a protective shell around you where the water doesn't even touch you. It's just kind of like wearing, a thick parka, in a snowstorm or something to that effect. So really what the challenge with diving is, although it's cold, really what the challenge with diving is the bottom time that you have. How long can I stay underwater? Because there's certain dangers there as well. There's nitrogen narcosis. There's nitrogen building up in your system, and you can only stay at certain depths for a certain amount of time. So really it becomes a race against time.
The channel does go down to about 50 feet. Is that deep, or is that a pretty reasonable depth?
So as divers here in the state of Utah, we're trained to dive to typically 100, 150 feet. So that kind of gives you a general idea. About 100 feet, you have about a couple minutes, probably 3 or 4 minutes of bottom time to where you can stay down and do something like that. 50 feet's a lot better. I didn't know how deep that particular river was. 50 feet's a lot better. I can't remember the dive tables and charts on that, but you have some additional time there. But again, just thinking being in black, dark, turbid water with metal all around you. I mean, how do you begin to search that? How do you begin to be safe in that? It's very, very challenging.
Major Nyberg, we have about 30 seconds left. Is there a way that you could compare that 50-foot depth that they're dealing with right now in Baltimore to a body of water here in Utah, just off the top of your head, that you've had to search or others on the dive team have had to search?
That's a good question. We've spent time down in Lake Powell and Flaming Gorge, and those waters can get to 300 to 400 feet. We do have sonar equipment and an actual dive robot that we can send down to those depths and recover anything that we need to. But it's always better if you can to send a diver into some of the shallow stuff so you don't lose anything that you're looking for. But there are waters like that here in the state of Utah. Typically it's our waters are not very clear. They're just very dark and very turbid. So you're basically searching without looking, and you're just basically feeling. But there are waters like that. But here in this instance, I mean, there's mangled metal, there's bridge parts, there's snag.
Real danger there. Well, Major, thank you so much for joining us from Utah Highway Patrol, previously with the dive team there.
KSL KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studio.